Okay, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Smudcast number 350, the big 50. Not that it has any numerical significance, I just thought it would be cool to say. Here is Am I White Trash Pipe Trash Food and the Diet of the Poor. This is by a YouTuber we've never covered before. Her name is Zoe Bee. She has 101k subs.
Wow.
This came out a year ago in November. And it has almost 200,000 views, so it's fairly well known. It's a 25-minute video. I don't know how long we're going to go. I watched most of it, and I was on the verge of getting very angry or very cross with her.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
She was doing... There's certain things which it's like you know more than her, and you're like, okay, you just don't know as much as me. You're saying stuff which is in the same ballpark. You're just launching it in various directions. I'm like, this is not proper. Like, this is not what you should say. And obviously she's speaking from her own experience. So I'm like, all right, fine. I can see where she's coming from. But she does a lot of big generalizations which drive me up the wall. And anyone who knows anything about cooking or preparing food or things like that are going, no, don't say that. Don't say it that way.
Keep forgetting what the effect is called. When the newsman talks about a topic you actually know something about and you realize that the newsman is full of shit.
Not quite. It's something like that though, because he's not saying anything wrong. His opinion is, because the newsman would just give you the facts, right?
No. The newsman doesn't give you the facts. The newsman reads to you what was printed for him.
Well, it depends what station you're watching, I guess. But in this
we have state for that.
Well,
we have actual state news for that. We have 2 channels that make state news, and they're full of shit.
Okay, I can read when my CBC is saying shit and saying an opinion piece, or just saying the facts. So.
Do you remember when I mentioned the Pokemon epilepsy thing?
Yes.
That story? Yeah, that was on state TV, on state news.
All right.
On national news, where they talked shit about that.
Okay.
And that's where I learned at, I don't know, one digit age, that the news is full of shit. And I can't trust the news because the news lies about Pokemon and epilepsy warnings in video games.
Well, you just have to be a good listener, and you could pick apart when someone is exaggerating or not saying the facts in a certain way or saying anything in a certain way. So don't worry about that. This is one of those things where, you've actually made food that she's describing, and you're like, that's not quite what we think of it. But again, it's her own experience. I don't know what it's like growing up in rural America and how she lived her life.
I've heard horrible stories, that's for sure. Like of places where you can't buy ingredients, only processed crap.
There's lots of hunting, there's lots of trapping and all doing your own thing. I was like, all right, fine.
That would be the positive version again.
Maybe.
That would be a positive version because that would mean you get your own food from nature.
Yeah, I mean, this is no different than talking about a various lifestyle in rural Italy, in a village or a town where you had a hunter and they would hunt for this, and if they caught it, you ate, and if they didn't catch anything, you didn't eat. So, great, I get it. This is what it's like with people before they moved to bigger cities or the Western world or had electricity or whatever.
Out of Eastern Europe?
Out of Europe in general, not just Eastern Europe. So
no, Eastern Europe still has that.
Oh, you're kidding?
There are villages so poor.
Yeah,
there's nothing.
Well, I have ancestors from Italy and Eastern Europe as well, so they came to Canada, and they have all the people I knew or still know grew up on farms. So, why I was lucky in the city, I don't know, but I am.
They still know the worth of food.
They know the home recipes. They know the home ingredients. They made their own olive oil. Made their own wine. So it's pretty much they know the good stuff. Ones that are still around, at least. And
as stupid as it may sound, I would urge everyone who has parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts like that to have them write down their family practices, how they do things, because within a generation or two, all this knowledge will be gone forever.
This is true. I do have an aunt, my grandmother's sister, who is the chef of that part of the family. She's still alive. And everything she does, like she is, I thought my nonna was good. Her sister was even better. And, you could argue certain dishes are better here and there, but she is all round amazing. Baking, cooking, frying, grilling, fishing, you name it. And of course her husband is a hunter, used to be a hunter. So, very humble. They go, all the people I know, they know how to shop. They know how to look for ingredients, and they don't make elaborate meals. They make big meals because, festivals and birthdays and what have you. But,
and you have to feed big families.
Yeah, but it's nothing expensive. So I do not know what it means to be white trash by virtue of just being poor and not being educated.
Honestly, all this frozen food, processed food, I think you call it in English, I don't know. Your microwave meals,
sure,
and all these snacks, they cost so much more than when you know how to cook.
And all you really want to do is defrost preserved or frozen foods that you've bought, whether it's leg of lamb or whatever you picked up. And
even if you just got frozen ingredients like frozen vegetables, it's not as good as fresh, but still cheaper to cook with that than buy pre-finished crap you put in the oven or microwave.
I think I said this before last time that shopping is key. Even if you're going for, like, say you really want a steak, they're not on sale. Guess what? You're buying chicken. Why? It's on sale. You're saving money.
100% agree with that. Yeah, I do my shoppings according to that. Like I just set out to the marketplace and just pick what's on sale first. Like I have an initial idea of what I want to cook, but otherwise, if I see something more tempting, then I'm just gonna go with that and work around the recipe for that.
And if for whatever psychological reason, it just tastes better because you bought it on sale. The same with drinks like beer. If I could buy a can of beer in a case for $1.90 each, $1.90 Canadian each, that's going to taste so much fantastically delicious, even though it's just a lager, than buying a Pilsner or buying a IPA or whatever I usually find. So, guys, shopping is key. Saving money is key. This is lifestyle. This is whether you find a partner to live with. The number 2 thing you're going to be doing together is shopping. And if you can't get along shopping, you may as well forget about the relationship. So, little life lesson there. Anyway, want to start?
I just Julita seemed to wanted to be on the video for this, but she can't. So just
is she in cooking. The chat or is she busy? I don't know.
I think she's busy or underway or something. Just wanted to note that.
Apparently,
she was really looking forward to this.
Yeah, apparently this video was in the docket several times. So we never got around to it. And this is how it works, guys. Just keep submitting your ideas. I don't know how the mods do it anymore because they threw away the giant list. So I think it's more up to date with whatever you guys...
It got too big.
I don't know why it got too big because you would just erase it when you were done, but okay. Either way,
just pick whatever is in suggestions recently.
Yeah,
there's too much. There's too much crap on YouTube.
It's all within the week or two, and they'll just keep recycling stuff. So, anyway, this is gonna be 25 minutes. I might get angry, like I usually never do, but for a different reason. But okay, let's get started.
Well, that's good. That's good for a mini jubileum episode. 350 is a nice number, so we have a special angry Smud.
Where Smud gets angry at food, yeah.
Smud gets angry.
Yeah, look at
it's Italian.
That's awesome.
First off, all this junk on the thumbnail is like I don't touch any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, some of that I had.
Although I did.
Long after I was a kid.
Yeah.
Again,
I will say.
God, this is disgusting and tasteless.
I will say the Twinkies that are coming out this year. I did buy some Twinkies a few months ago, and they were cheap, of course, on sale. I was like, hey, that's a pretty good deal. They are actually not bad. I remember Twinkies being sickly sweet, and these ones were actually tasted like cake, had a little bit of cream, and that was it. And I was like, this is fine. Wasn't so bad. The only problem is
I don't think we have these here.
Yeah, the only problem is they came in a 2-pack, so it's like I only want the one, and you have like, oh, I gotta eat a second one. So anyway, all that other stuff I don't touch, but that's because I eat protein and vegetables and ice cream here sometimes. But anyway, haha, let's go. Oh no, copyright music. White trash. Oh god.
Someone stole a drone.
Consider the lobster.
Okay, this is very pretentious already.
Is this discount Lindsay Ellis?
I don't think so, because she's wearing a rather nice hat. So.
Oh god, what is wrong with her? She sorted her books by color. Dude,
it's
it
the
looks
spectrum.
like the rainbow.
You're killing my bibliophile heart. You can sort your books in so many ways, but not color.
It's the pride shelf.
I understand sorting them by height. I understand sorting them by topic, but not color.
Maybe she has a visual memory. She has to like remember the book she read back in the day was red. So she.
This is just.
Why is the gayest book out of those?
The gayest book.
This is just horrible virtue signaling, and she may even have bought them just to have books of the right color to make a rainbow.
Yeah.
I call this the faggot case.
Yeah. Well. I like the talk about lobsters. Always makes me happy, whether it's Peterson or just the chef. I'm always lobsters are delicious. Let's go.
And maybe she's like a big fan of Peterson.
Is she?
Let's call.
Yeah, I bet she isn't. But let's find.
That's our headcanon now.
The lobster is a modest shellfish, but it's garnered a reputation for being fancy, in part because of how expensive it is pound for pound.
It's fancy because it's expensive? No. It's fancy because you only have certain parts of the world that have it, and it's not endangered. It used to be overfished or overtrapped, whatever the term is, and getting it is hard. So, and especially with restaurants not being open, it's like not a big a deal. But if I were to go to my fishmonger and ask them, it's very rare to get lobster. So they're either sold out or they don't have any.
Mm-hmm.
Lobster is the kind of thing that your parents taught you never to order at a...
Just with many food types, they're very regular things where they are native and often considered poor people's food. Right. It's only about through history that certain foods then became luxury versions, either because they're rare, they're as you said, they're imported things, or simply because we have weird shifts in culture. There are some what was it? There's one specific soup that made it from a post-war poor people's soup to might be potato soup, might be lentils, not entirely sure, but that you can pay ungodly sums for in a luxury restaurant.
The only one
it's so high society.
The only one I could think of is from Chinese cuisine, which is shark fin soup. So that is usually reserved for weddings and big festivals or big celebrations. So I don't know exactly what the price is though, but it's pretty up there. And it's very gelatinous or glutinous. It's not for everyone. You have to, enjoy that texture and enjoy the flavor. The flavor's fine. It's just the texture might turn a lot of people off. There's red bean soup and other things they use for celebrations too, but that's the most expensive one I know. Anyway.
Restaurant is footing the bill because it would make you look like a selfish jerk. But lobster wasn't always this fancy, wealthy people food
That's
that
true.
we know it as today. In fact, in the 18th and 19th centuries, lobster was a trash food. There was an abundance of lobster in the coastal cities of the US. There was more lobster than they knew what to do with. They had to get rid of it, but no one wanted to eat it. So they fed it to prisoners and indentured servants and slaves. So what changed? How did the humble lobster climb the social ladder and go from being cheap and disregarded to being one of the most decadent dishes on restaurant menus? Well, summer vacation. Seasonal tourists, mostly wealthy, came to Boston, which had a booming lobster industry, to vacation. And like any good tourists, they wanted an...
If they have a booming lobster industry, it's already popular.
Yeah, then it's not a trash food. You don't make an industry out of trash. Unless, of course, you have a trash yard.
I don't know. I think she skipped a few steps, but maybe she'll get to it here. Who knows?
Authentic taste of the city. So, they ate lobster. Lots of lobster. And they didn't hate it. When they went back home to Washington or New York or wherever, they still craved lobster, though. But they couldn't get that good Boston lobster anymore, so they sent away for it. Mail-ordered lobster straight from the source. And they were willing to pay quite the premium for it. So, obviously, the Bostonians obliged. I mean, they really wanted to get rid of all of this lobster. They shipped out the lobster at exorbitant prices, which then made lobster expensive, which then gave the impression that it was fancy, which meant more wealthy people wanted to eat it, which continued this feedback loop until lobster became what it is today, expensive. Somehow, a food once eaten only by...
Yeah, and she left out a few things that you mentioned as well. Like the overfishing later on.
Yeah,
and I would really like if she put a glass with grape juice down because it's irritating.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about the crab trade. There's so much crab, and the texture is not the same as lobster, but because it's so comparable, and you can use it for other things, you can make fake fish or fake crab, whatever. So you can get pollock, and that could be used as crab because of the similarity of the texture. So you can buy substitutes, which are cheaper. They're knockoffs. And they taste very similar. And I do that all the time with salads and other dishes. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's cheap. Go for it.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, there is that inflated prices can be a thing to make things more fancy. I think the most famous thing about that are diamonds, which are basically worthless. It's just all held back so that we have an artificial shortage. Yeah, but that's not what you build a giant industry in regards to food from. I know it's a bit. I'm trying to not make the pun, but it sounds a bit fishy.
Well, you can make the argument that stock and demand is very influential in prices than it is, but it really depends on overfishing. In this case, for fish. How often it's picked up, what style, how big is it? Because people with fish are very selective. They don't just want a crate of lobster. They'll actually, the chefs usually will go out into the fishmonger and say, "What'd you get? Let me inspect it. Let me smell it. Let me have a bite. Let me try it all out." Same with my God, the sushi chefs they are just forget inspection. It's like a spiritual event for them. They have to look at it for 5 seconds and analyze it and think it's the right fish. There's all these moments for the experts.
Oh yeah, the big fish market in Tokyo. That is,
I think
if you ever get there, take a visit. It's more of an experience than the one in Hamburg.
I think it's not just Japanese cuisine, but anyone who cooks with fish, they have this sixth sense into like, okay, this is the right fish for me. I'm going to pick this one. It's, we have no idea why. So if you're a chef, you have a lot of peculiarities of selecting your produce because that is key. The best produce makes the best meals.
Mm-hmm.
So the freshest, the better, of course. Anyway.
Yeah. And another way that a poor people's food can get elevated is the pizza. You, being part Italian, might be familiar with the story of the pizza margherita.
Sure. I can tell it. You can tell it. You want me to tell it? All right. So Queen Margherita visited Italy once, and one of the local whatever, I don't think it was a royal chef. I think it was a normal restaurant chef. He said, "Okay, I'm going to make a dish just named after you," and it was one of the most simplest dishes you could make. If you guys don't know what a pizza margherita is, it's just sauce, basil, and mozzarella di bufala. That's about it. And those flavors, for whatever reason, impressed her. And everyone said, yeah, this is one of the best pizzas we ever had. So, and it's the cheapest one to make as far as I can recall.
Yeah. The way I remember it, she had access to her fancy food, but she wanted to taste something from the city.
Oh, well, what ends up happening when you're talking about adopting dishes is the royal kitchen. Like there's three major cuisines in the world, and they're all based off local produce, the royal kitchen, and banquets. Those are the three. I think those are the three major reasons why cuisines exist. And what ends up happening is a royal or a nobleman goes out from the royal kitchen, goes out from court, goes into their people, and they say, hey, what are you guys doing? What's it like living like you? And he gets to know the people, and they give him what they eat, what they produce. He says, what do you call that? I've never had this before. And it's gratin or it's pizza, because they don't know. They don't know any better. It's not because they've been wined and dined on like steak tartare or whatever. It's just, no, they just have no idea. So that gets adopted. They say, hey, chef, look what I found. Here's the recipe. What do you think? Can you do that? They make it. It gets adopted by the royal court. Royal court popularizes it. It's the same thing with what we do now when we find a killer new restaurant, a new chef coming up in the ranks, and Michelin gets involved and they say hello and all that crap. So, and it's not just high-end food. It's like ice cream parlors. It's breakfast places, diners, it's whatever that get popularized because no one did this before with ice cream and putting charcoal in it and using CO2 or using nitrogen or whatever. So all kinds of silly, stupid shit. Some of them are just fads. Some of them are really good. Some of them are cultural based. So lots of reasons why things become popular.
Yeah, and then there's other little fun bits like I think that's how we got Kaiserschmarrn, which is the Kaiser's nonsense. It's just a torn apart, a ripped apart pancake that's sweetened a bit more. It's not cut or anything. It's not made to look nice. It's just torn apart like a violent rage.
Oh God!
You have that on your plate.
There's so many versions of the same meal in different cultures. Like Japan is notorious for taking everything and just making their own version of it, like the pancake,
yes,
or the cheesecake, or the whiskey, or whatever, and it becomes its own thing. It's fascinating how Japan can do that. I think China's slowly doing that because there's just so many iterations of something, and it becomes popular. People like it, and maybe it goes away after a few years. I don't know, but there's always that sort of residual thing on a menu that's like, hey, I remember that from 10 years ago. What the hell's that doing there? So, like Kobe beef sliders. I don't know why those exist, but they do. Anyway.
Poor and marginalized people became a food for the elite. The wealthy's desire for
always
that authentic
marginalized
experience made it so that authentic...
the poor people from 200 years ago were marginalized. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but no, she differentiates between the poor people and the marginalized people.
Who marginalized being born into a poor family? Like, what are you talking? Who did this?
But it also implies that there are non-poor people who are marginalized. And poor people who are not marginalized.
Who did that? Like the town crier? Like made fun of them? Like what happened? The bullies down the street just made fun of the village idiot? Like what happened?
This language is so stupid.
I don't know.
They're just adding more words.
This is kind of cringe.
Everyone in an Italian village was poor. They all lived around the castle, who was the lord of the castle, and they protected them. That's it. And then they had their own farmland. They grew their own farm. They made their own wine. They made their own cheese. And they bartered. Someone opened up a bar.
And then the Industrial Revolution happened, and people suddenly got richer than usual.
Yeah, how did that work out?
Sounds like Europe in general. Oh no! We're all getting richer. We're all getting more luxuries at home. We all have running water now and toilets. The oppression. We need communism to free us of this oppression.
If only we could grow our own crops again and have an outhouse and kill our own cows because we only have 2. You know, it's like
no, you can't kill your cows anymore. You can't kill your cows anymore. We now only vegan communism is allowed.
Oh God. What?
Only soybeans for you. Yeah. Which, by the way, Hitler wanted to switch to after the war.
Soybeans? Oh God.
Yes, he wanted to turn Germany into soy country.
Wow.
Think about that.
I suddenly want some more schnitzel in my life. Oh boy. Anyway.
Food
with gypsy sauce
made its way up the social ladder. But the people never did. As the lobster became more and more associated with the wealthy...
Okay, honey, when someone discovers a dish they like in any part of their country and they take it to, I don't know, the rich or the royal, yeah, they're going to like it too, probably. And they'll adopt it into their menu of...
As long as it tastes good.
Yeah, like what do you want them to do? Take all the people and have them live in the castle?
The poor people who are working hard all day, they weren't eating shit, snack, junk food like is done today by the lower class. Because they needed to actually work hard. They needed nutritionist stuff. You can't compare these two poor people's foods. It's not the same thing.
I have heard that in 200 years ago, at least in Eastern Europe, like the kind of people who had to work on someone else's land, they pretty much had one onion and maybe some bread if they were lucky, and that's all they had for the entire day while they were working on the land itself. So I don't know what this bitch is up about.
We'll find out what time period she's referring to if she gets to some history going.
She didn't mention the 18th and 19th century, so I'm confused right now.
I think she's just making general assumptions across all of history.
This is all because of racism.
Yeah, no, this class struggle. It's the rich have all the resources. Here's Frederick Frick. Okay, thanks for the donation. Gonna take a shot in the dark and say this woman's gonna say that healthy food is expensive and unhealthy food isn't. That's why so many poor people are fat? Huh. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit. Eat some onions.
Yeah, junk food is junk food, and sometimes that's expensive too. So...
Yeah.
Usually fresh produce.
Buy some onions, buy some carrots, buy some potatoes.
Yeah.
You'll be stuffed, and it won't cost you much of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like not necessarily every person who eats junk food is going to get fat. It's just they might have a nutritional imbalance that they can't solve with a better diet.
Yeah, that's mainly because most junk food is mainly carbs, especially sugar.
Yes, exactly that.
And that is what makes it fat.
And we could talk about how the corn subsidies in the States produced this abundance of corn-related products. So maybe she'll get into that. I don't know. I can't remember what she said about it, but that's just America for you.
The corn syrup crab is that's especially a US thing.
Yeah, the high fructose stuff, which we use to make Coca-Cola and God knows what else.
Yeah, that is really a problem.
Yeah.
High levels of fructose, you can get your diabetes from that easily. So don't eat too many fruits either. Have it balanced.
Yeah. Okay. Shtickbug, thanks for the donation. Poor and marginalized people ate lobster, and now rich people eat lobster. Like, bitch, get a job. Also, what do you think, boys? Does this mean women believe in astrology? I don't know. People adopt...
Lobsters were stolen from the poor people.
Yeah, right.
We have to free the lobsters.
What if the poor people became rich people because they had the successful enterprise of selling lobsters to rich people at the time?
Yeah,
You mean they need to chase the lobsters? Yeah. Do you chase the lobsters best if you adopt the way of the lobster?
Become the lobster.
Do not just think the lobster, become the lobster.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm too tired for Peters and puns, I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
Insert them in your head, please.
Sure.
The poor who had once eaten it stayed poor.
What?
What's
that? What's
poor
that
people
statement?
ate bread and they remained poor. It's like, yeah.
And do you think just because other people eat your food, you become the other people? What the fuck?
When you eat lobster,
you become what you eat.
You'll become the lobster.
If I just eat rich people food, I will become rich. What is the logic?
Yes, of course, Wisp. This is like secret to richness.
I identify as trans rich. Please give me money so I can live to the fullest to my identity.
Oh, I identify as white trash. That's fantastic.
That's racist.
Is it? Okay, I have no idea. I thought it was economics.
Yeah, it's like black. It's like blackface. Only that you become a fat couch potato.
Oh.
Well, it is kind of blackface what she's doing right now. I mean, like this color is just like. Oh.
Hopefully, it's lots of delicious American apple pies, as those are apparently very good. So
I hope she's finished with her grape juice in the next scene.
I want you to think of the trashiest food you can imagine.
Okay.
It can be something prepackaged or something you prepare, but either way.
I don't.
Okay, let's make this a game. Let's come up with something to entertain her. What's the trashiest food you can think of?
Okay, fries.
Really?
Yeah, you could buy them anywhere. They're fried food. They just stuff you. They don't really give you too much sustenance. They're just starch.
You know what? I'm gonna take it a step further. McDonald's fries.
Oh,
ooh,
salt. Yeah, salt and ketchup. There you go.
I haven't eaten shit in so long.
You know, I did have some from that Jollibee Filipino chicken place. They had fries, and they were pretty plain. Like, there was nothing great about them. They were barely salted. I think they were using vegetable oil. They were really like light on the flavor. But that's the whole palette of that restaurant. Like, you think Kentucky Fried Chicken, just without the spice and no grease. It's very clean. Just nice and crispy though. So yeah, I can't say.
Most of the stuff the bakery chains here make,
like sugary stuff, like trashy.
They're so bad.
Like bread.
Yeah. Oh, it's all horrible. There's I think there's 2 possible bakeries left in town, and everything else is just big chains, and they're all crap.
Okay.
Absolute horrid crap. You eat their bread, and you feel like you've eaten nothing.
Yeah. So
the best bakery in town, sadly, they closed down because the baker was due to health issues. He wasn't old enough yet, but he had health issues. So
right. So when we think of in the West, when we think of like trash food or fast food, it's always like something high in sodium, high in fat.
Yeah, I'm honestly trying to think of something, but
well, I guess you could say burgers, but I don't think they're inherently bad because there's beef on them.
What's this mac and cheese stuff?
Yeah, that could be trashy food because you could buy Kraft macaroni and cheese at the store for relatively inexpensively.
Casserole.
You casserole. You see, in Italian language, we have this thing called lasagna, which is
of course, yeah. But like lasagna actually requires effort. The casserole that I mean is like your remainder pasta that you have at home, and then you mix it with like some cheese, and you fry it in like an oven, and then you put ketchup on it.
Oh my god!
Oh god!
Okay, yes, that is like a macaroni casserole. That's like specific. We do have obviously there's other casseroles in Italian cuisine like tetrazzini, but like you have to have someone who's like, I made too much pasta, no one wants it. What do I do? It's gone bad, or it's getting older. You recook it and you make a casserole. That's just good preservation of your ingredients. You don't want to waste it, so you make another dish out of it. It's the same.
I mean, it's a leftover dish, and that's fine.
Pretty much,
because it's not wasting stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing inherently bad with it. It's a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of starch.
Yeah. It's more. The modern thing is rather that these dishes are made directly, not as the leftover products that they were.
Yeah, that's
oftentimes, at least.
That's why we have biscotti. If you guys don't know what biscotti means, it means twice baked. So when you have your coffee and you have a biscotti, all that is old bread that they didn't want to throw out.
We have a thing for that in German. It's called Zwieback. It also means twice baked.
Yeah.
That's the stuff the crews on boats had, because it's bread that doesn't go bad because it's so hard.
Oh yeah. See, that reminded me of rye bread because we have lots of rye in Canada. So if you want to make a certain kind of rye dish or rye whiskey or God knows, we have all these options.
That's another way to preserve bread, rye bread, because Zwieback is purely wheat.
Right. Add some rye.
And there's one thing I just have to notice, because the word casserole always confuses me, because we have a dish in Germany that is called Kassler, which sounds almost the same, but it is a dish that comes from the city of Kassel, which is why it's called Kassler. But it's not a casserole. It's smoked pork chop, apparently.
Yeah, and I don't think this is unique to Europe. I think the casserole has been around in all kinds of cultures, in Turkish cuisine, Asian cuisine. It's all over the place. So it's nothing new. And it's what you do when
isn't like a quiche, like the French dish, like you can like pretty much like make a varieties, kind of like a casserole as well.
Sorry, what was it called?
Quiche.
Quiche. I don't know that one. Sorry.
Like it's a Quiich, I believe.
Quiche. Quiche. Yes, that is a well-known casserole. You're right. It's a small little thing, though. It's usually a tartlet. Yeah, it's not like when you think of a quiche, I tend to think of a pie because of the shape and the crust.
Yeah, it's more like a sour pie.
Yeah. Okay, here is Francis Porter Coppola. How's it going? You guys don't understand the meaning of words, trashy foods, until you've seen and eaten grits and eggs. I've eaten grits and eggs. It's not trashy. It's good breakfast food.
Eggs is always excellent.
Yeah, grits is, well, depending on what part of UK you're in, could be great, could be horrible, but it's just how much you fried them up. So, anyway, when we think of trash food, just to summarize, we tend to think of fast food. So, like chicken McNuggets, fries.
Oh God.
I'm sure popcorn, fries, or whatever.
I pushed all of this stuff out of my mind. It's probably why I can't come up with anything anymore.
It's just fast food crap that you do because you're starving and you eat it because you have to get going. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, just to quench the hunger.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
it needs to be trashy. In fact, put it in the comments because I really want to see your opinions on trash foods. Got it? Good. Now, would you eat it?
Oh, I know something.
If you answered no...
I know something. The way overpriced, too expensive hipster fries with weird sauces that you can buy in the hipster places in the inner city here. Fills you up, but I cannot imagine that is healthy in any way. I tried that twice because I was taken there, and different types, and it's just like a stone in my stomach.
Well, that sounds like poutine, so it's just
it's like fancied up poutine.
Oh god, yeah, no, it's just gravy and cheese curds. That's all it is.
You know, we have a place here that makes actual poutine, and they also make other stuff, and it's I think it's a current fad with the hipsters that they do fries, and then instead of mayonnaise or ketchup or they add chili to it, or Mexican chili, whatever weird stuff.
Right. Okay.
Oh, why not? What is it about that food that is so appalling to you? Now I want you to imagine the person who you think would eat that food. What is that person like? What kinds of clothes are they wearing? What does their body look like?
That is the strangest thing. I mean, maybe there's a correlation, but everyone eats all kinds of things and likes different things.
Yeah, like I remember seeing so many photos of Donald Trump eating like garbage ass McDonald's and KFC food on his private jet. If that doesn't apply for everyone, then I don't know what.
Okay, and if you want to complain about this, because she's talking about white trash, which demographic is famous for eating fried chicken all day?
White people, of course.
Or are we getting into? Is it racist if we talk about the other demographic?
I love
Asians.
I love fried chicken. So it's all the Italians, obviously.
I mean, I have a friend from South London, and he says he can't believe how much chicken is being eaten everywhere in his neighborhood.
Yeah,
it's just a thing.
There's so much of it. There's just everywhere you go in North America, there's chicken. So it's an abundance. It's very similar to corn. There's just so much corn, and corn can feed chickens. Corn can feed cows. It's just a natural thing to grow. So you make feed for all your animals. You could then produce animals. You could sell animals. It's all kinds of things you could do on a normal farm as opposed to a dairy farm or a cattle farm. So yeah, it's very well known. There's all kinds of great recipes from Portugal to Barbados to the Caribbean. There's all great recipes for chicken. It's fantastic stuff. It's also very cheap. Costco is great. It's one of the cheapest meats you could buy at Costco. So,
what is their skin? Why do you think that they're eating that food? What makes that food palatable to them?
Because he's the president. He's so amazing. It's the best food ever. I don't know. He likes it.
And with the trash people, regardless of what skin color or ethnic background they have, it's because they can't cook. It's because they're addicted to fat and sugar.
Or you're just a crazy person and just love it.
Yeah, you could have a mental disorder.
There's lots of reasons.
People like that.
You could have an eating disorder. You could it's why so many borderliners are obese.
I knew a
They
guy.
use it as a eating as a coping mechanism.
I knew a guy who only drank Coca-Cola. It had to be a certain kind of can in a certain way you buy it, like by the case. Like he'd only buy it and drink Coca-Cola. He wouldn't drink water, wouldn't drink Diet Cola, nothing. Just only Coca-Cola. I don't know why.
With those special things you mentioned, could be autism.
It could be various psychological reasoning. I have no idea. But there's people out there who just eat and drink certain foods for whatever reason. And you can't make sense of it.
He really wants that acid.
He needs those 51 grams of sugar a day. Like, you got to have it. It's just every day, man. Maybe they changed the recipe over the years. So he didn't pay attention. But, he'll buy that product till the day he dies, probably. Who knows?
Okay, I just want to note, in case I suddenly disconnect, I have no idea what's happening. There's different smells coming in. Hopefully from outside. There have been people talking outside, and first it smelled just like some burnt type of wood or something, and now it smells like burnt circuitry.
Wisps, go check it out. That doesn't sound good. Go check it out.
I'm hearing a walkie-talkie, so it's probably not here.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
Probably another prison escape.
Yeah.
Who knows? There was a popping noise?
Okay, Wisp, deal with it if you gotta go, man. Don't
Yeah, I'm on the third floor. I don't give a shit.
Okay, all right. Never mind.
Just tell them that they are not welcome.
All right, let's go.
Isn't palatable to you. Now put a pin in that and keep it in the back of your mind as we go.
Okay, I'm this strange person who will eat everything, so I don't really care. Because if I'm hungry, I'll eat it. And if my friends are eating it, I'll go with my friends. If they want to eat it, I'll go with them and eat it with them. Doesn't bother me.
There was I'm a very especially as a child, I've been an extremely picky eater. I barf up things very quickly. And really, it's not just, I wasn't just a kid that just spat things out. I really choked on food. And it took me into my early 20s when I finally moved out. And I then forced myself to new foods. And that was a good decision. Because now I don't go with the old autistic drive that gets me. I know this. I like this. I will order this. I will eat this. No, I'm forced. Especially that was after I heard of an Indian proverb that Buddhist. Well, maybe it was even Buddhist. I don't know. That the secret to eternal life is that every day that you eat a new meal is a day that you live longer. Because it's an experience you've had, it's a memory, and therefore your life is longer. And so I decided every time I'm in a restaurant or in some place, I will order something I haven't yet ordered before. And while there were a lot of duds with that, and some things that were just outright atrocious, I found new things to eat.
I think that's similar to what the Dalai Lama said about every year go somewhere new.
And that's honestly some autistic friends adopted that and they're happier for it.
Well, yeah, it's like such a wonderful thing that we can share like each other's culture and like just experience it like through the culinary means. I personally have been picky eater myself as a child as well, but yeah, ever since like early 20s as well. Yeah, I've tried different things. I would say like the best part is that like when you like try like something like very new, it just like gives you like that sensation that like, wow, where have this been in my life before?
It reminds me of my brother. He was a very picky eater until he got into his 20s and found his girlfriend and got married. And he probably eats more.
Your girlfriend pushes.
Well, yeah, when you're with your girlfriend, she'll like do this or get lost. So he pretty much went along with whatever she said, which is good because he was very
yes, honey,
very closeted. But anyway, he ate all kinds of things. Now he's a Japanophile. He loves Japan. He loves China. Loves Hong Kong, and all the crazy foods that I have not tried yet. That you can't get here because they have combinations for ice cream and Kit Kats and God knows what else that you've never heard of.
Oh, the Kit Kats in Japan, Jesus! I only had my friend go there, but like he said, like they have like so many variations for Kit Kat. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like they have like one that is wasabi flavored. I was like, what?
Anything you can imagine, they've done. It's amazing.
Yes, that is actually a great example for some junk food that I absolutely detest.
See, I wouldn't
Because
call it
there was the Kit Kats here. Well, it's a sweet snack.
Well, that's just
it's
candy.
also-
Then
Yeah, but candy is also junk.
okay, sure.
In many cases, with few exceptions, that is. And it was just a year or two ago. I ordered when it was on sale. I thought, hey, I like this as a kid. That they're on sale. Let's order 2 packs. And I needed forever to get through that crap. Because I didn't want to throw it away. Because I grew up with you have to eat up because food is don't waste food. And God, that stuff tastes disgusting. Tastes like ass. How did I like this as a kid? What happened to my taste buds that it's so different now?
You went to a dentist. That's all.
That might be the case. I don't know. Do they implant weird things in you that change your taste?
Fillings? No.
Secretly?
I mean, like after my 5th root canal, I just like know that like okay, if I get too many sweet things, I'm not going through that shit again.
Okay, yeah, but that doesn't change your taste.
Of course, but I just know that like if I'm going to continue on this road, that it's eventually going to turn out to be like something so negative that I wouldn't have to like subject myself to it. Yeah.
All right. Here's Alex Halo. Neptunia says, eat more pudding and burn eggplants. Yeah, okay.
No, save the eggplants. You're fucking insane, Veeb. Go away.
Eggplants are delicious, okay?
Like, how am I gonna make my moussaka without that?
Well,
actually, just one more thing. I had like a colleague. He was like in his 40s, I believe, at the time, and he said like every time he goes to a restaurant, he only wants to eat spaghetti bolognese. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, there's like so many items on the menu. Why aren't you so strict about that thing? And he said like, well, I don't like anything else, and I think like they can make it to be bearable in every restaurant. And like he had like an issue one time that it was only part of the kids menu, and he was like, I want spaghetti bolognese. Like the guy, like, all the waiters said like, no, it's only for kids.
That's the exact opposite that Italians say when they go to they don't want anything that's pasta because they know it's going to suck. So
yeah, I'm back in a moment. I know what happened. I looked out the window. There's a giant fire truck outside, and apparently someone burned a car.
What?
As I've never seen that happen here. Holy shit! I'm just closing the other window so that the smoke doesn't come in here.
Anyway, let's keep going.
So, trashy means different things to different people.
Yes.
For some, it's the same thing as tacky, where it describes something with the veneer of quality or elegance, but which is actually just a cheap knockoff. For others, though, trashy elicits the idea of white trash, which is the specific brand of trashiness that I will be focusing on in this video. White trash is similar to tackiness, except that when a person is tacky, they're trying to hide the lack of value of what they're wearing or doing.
Or they just don't have any expensive upholstery or chairs and tables in the restaurant. And we call that kitschy. Lots of diners and what's this term? It's like you're walking into someone's house, they turned into a diner or turned into a restaurant, and they kept the style. Like that to me would be kitschy because it's not designed to be a restaurant, it's designed to be a house. And they just left it as is. So doesn't really bother me. And if it's a diner, then I expect the quality to be diner level. I'm not expecting a restaurant. So that's fine.
Neither does for me. Yeah, exactly. There are like so many places like that in Europe, not just specifically in Eastern Europe where I live. And I feel like, especially if like it's long running business, like we have so many of those where it's like even the grandparents started, or like great grandparents started the business, and the son is still continuing it, and it's very successful. I just feel like go for it. If it can serve like enough people, and still has the reputation for like the quality of the food, then just like continue.
Yep. Usually the decor is a secondary, if not tertiary, and some people don't even care, that being a factor.
If it's hygienic enough, then I'm like, okay. But yeah, like some of the decor can change, definitely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So.
But a person who is white trash almost takes pride in it. White trash people are people who know that their clothes, food, appearance, and actions are outside the norm, but who don't care to actually try to get back into.
How do you know that they know that?
This is either a form of ignorance, or what I was trying to say before, xenopathology or xenocentrism, or you're so focused on your own culture that you don't care about the world around you, and you can't see it from other people's eyes. I'm sure people like that exist, but with the internet nowadays and people having access to all this information and being multicultural, because America is multicultural, they know other people very well. They know other cultures very well. So,
can I hear her last sentence again?
Yeah, sure.
Clothes, food, appearance, and actions are outside the norm, but who don't care to actually try to get back into the norm.
Okay, here's a question. Are you part of the norm in your pretentious, arrogant, down-talking manner?
What is the norm that they're suddenly looking at, saying, "Oh, this is what they do in the big cities or downtown"?
Yeah, she sounds a lot like a colonizer who thinks so highly of herself and so shitty of the savages in this land that she visits.
Yeah, in rural America, they don't do what we do in urban America, and you're like, that's true.
These savages do not even care to be civilized. They know they're not like us, but they don't even try to be civilized like us.
It's like, well, the culture in a city is obviously going to be different than the culture, especially a downtown city of any city, is going to be different than the suburban or rural areas of the same state or province you're in, just because that's just life in those places. So if they had access to those resources, that doesn't mean they're going to adopt that style of living or food or whatever. There has to be a reason.
I cannot bear this savage travesty. I need my wine. You will find me at the fainting couch.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my beer because it's delicious, and your wine is too expensive. And I'd rather have a 24 case than a 750 milliliter bottle. So.
You cannot properly faint on a fainting couch with beer.
Oh my God!
How profane.
Where's my Portuguese sherry?
You need a proper glass of wine like she has that you never drink from. That you only carry around with you.
I need my Cabernet immediately. Where is it?
But only to carry it around, never to drink from it.
To warm the glass. Yeah, I gotta heat.
What is a man?
He's just a collection of snifter glasses that he never uses. I just hold this not because I'm a vampire. I just want to look fancy. It's not blood. It's actually wine. I just don't drink it. Oh boy.
So what is trash food? Well, food that white trash people eat, obviously. But what does that actually look like? To answer this, I want to turn to the article that actually inspired this episode.
Oh no.
Trash Food
Finally.
by Chris Offutt. In this article...
Oh, was it that guy we saw that on YouTube that like diluted tomatoes in water with like a dollop of olive oil? Was it that guy?
I don't know. What's the name again?
It was this fat dude where his
yeah, but what's in the article?
Oh.
Can I put this to full screen here? Somewhere?
Trash Food, Oxford American, a magazine of the South. And it looks,
Yeah, but the author.
The author?
Chris Offwood. I don't think that's the guy.
I don't know. Anyway.
I would like it.
If we are talking about that guy we covered months ago with his crazy recipes that looked disgusting, I wouldn't even call that trash food. I would just call that a waste of
ingredients.
Stuff. Yeah, it's just a waste. Like, dude, stop what you're doing, please.
No, the author is not the same guy.
No. All right. Here is Hemorrhagers. It's an interesting way of spelling your name. Hemorrhagers. Hemorrhagers? Okay, never mind. There's a meme in certain circles about how white people prepare food without spices, and it's tasteless and bland. That is not unheard of, but I know what you're talking about. I wonder if this one believes it. Thing is, that's all white urbanites complaining that white urbanites don't know how to cook. Depends on what they're cooking. And if you're comparing it to a Caribbean chef or an Indian chef, where there's lots of spices involved, there's lots of wonderful smells and oils and cooking prep to do, depending on whether you're just basting a turkey or whatever. So,
yeah, and sorry for the whataboutism. However, the black urbanites that can't cook and only eat fried chicken, because that's not cooking, that's just having chicken nuggets all the time and fried chicken parts. That's also just trash food. Do we call that then black trash?
I don't know. It's fast food. It's food that's prepared for you that you just heat up, I assume. And there's nothing wrong with living like that because it's still healthy. It's still protein. You still get your macro and micronutrients. But if you're not preparing food, if you're not having a banquet, if you're not having a celebration, you're not cooking, then you're ordering in. And then therefore you have somewhat wealth where you're not worried about cooking, which is strange. But I mean, even rich people learn to cook. So that's how they make money. They know how to shop for food, and they know how to cook their food. Unless you're like stupidly rich and you have a maid and a chef that does everything for you. But I don't know that lifestyle, so I can't tell you. But yeah, the rich save money. They shop. They shop like everyone else. They buy things on sale. They eat as a family. They should, at least.
Offit talked about how he, a man who grew up poor in Kentucky, had to fight his whole life to not be seen as white trash. And one of the things that labeled him that way was the food he ate. In the article, he lists a few white trash foods. Within certain communities, it's become popular to host white trash parties where people are urged to bring Cheetos, pork rinds, Vienna sausages, Jell-O with marshmallows, fried bologna.
Jell-O with marshmallows?
Hey. Wiener Würstchen? Really?
What the hell is Jell-O with marshmallows? Is that a thing?
I don't know. Sounds not healthy.
All right.
Sounds not. That doesn't sound like it goes together.
No. Well, why would you do
that? Wiener Würstchen, Vienna sausage. I'm sorry. That's basic food.
And
the other stuff looks like junk, but this is just basic food.
The fourth pic, or the second from the right, that looks like a ham sandwich of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe some mustard or something. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know what a corn dog is.
It's just a hot dog that's covered in cornmeal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then that's just a sausage.
Yeah, it's fine.
Corn dogs, RC Cola, Slim Jims, Fritos, Twinkies. And
okay, so some of this is...
Okay, that's just all crap.
Yeah, that's crap right there. But, when you go to a cheap party and they want you to bring stuff like a potluck, that's fine. That's like a work thing. You just go to work and I bought some chips. It's like, yeah, fine, whatever.
Yeah. It doesn't and that's doesn't matter what race the people are at parties, especially of young people. You have a lot of these snack type things.
Yeah,
it's not that everybody brings homemade snacks that they share around. No.
Yeah, it's not food. It's
this stuff.
It's junk food.
Yeah, when we make a more sophisticated party, yeah, then someone brings a noodle salad, another one brings a and then it's not the mac and cheese crap. Someone else brings a lasagna, someone else brings like little snacks with tomato sauce. Like I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, I think this is the distinction.
And so on.
The distinction between trash food and junk food. We all know what junk food is. It's food that's not good for you. Like sugary stuff, chips, things you don't need. Your body does not need it. It's just tasty, and it's a snack. It could be covered in salt, covered in sugar, whatever. Trash food, I still have a problem figuring that out because she's using the term, and I can't quite relate to that term, so that's why I thought fast food, because fast food is technically still food, but it's not a snack. It's actual food. It's just something you have when you're on the go. You don't have to worry about what you're eating. You just want to get it and go and not worry about the quality. That's the point. It's not high quality. It's cheap. It's fast. So the stuff she's listing here are snacks. Fritos and Twinkies. Cottage cheese is fine. I have cottage cheese all the time with my pierogies. It's fantastic. Jelly. I don't know what cottage cheese with jelly. That sounds weird. Why'd I put jelly in cottage cheese?
Why? Yeah, I was about to ask. Like, I have cottage cheese myself as well, and it's considered to be like a more expensive one than the regular cheese that you can get.
Well,
but like, why with jelly?
What
the hell does?
I specifically have cottage cheese with pierogies or vreniki, and I'd rather have that than, let's say, just sour cream or anything else. But jelly, I don't know what the relationship is there.
The only thing I would have jelly with is more jelly.
Toast.
Or vanilla sauce or whipped cream. But not anything else. I cannot imagine why you would mix anything with jelly that is not vanilla sauce or whipped cream.
Any fruit preserve to me is a jam, jelly, or something you spread.
If you're cheap, you can just take milk. But
milk?
Americans put such weird stuff in jelly. I don't get it.
Yeah. Anyway, this sounds this is alien to me. Like, I don't know why anyone would get any of this stuff for a party, but it's something that is not a formal party. This is just a work thing. People are on the water cooler. They're having a break at lunch, and there's a bunch of stuff in the corner.
Someone in chat said cottage cheese is hipster food, not white trash food.
Really?
Hipster food? What?
I don't know.
Get the fuck out.
I don't know. I'm just reading the chat.
Okay. Oh, here's Vladimir.
Maybe like in a specific part of the US, because it might be considered like that.
My Ukrainian side of the family use cottage cheese a lot, so I don't know.
Yes, it's fucking popular here.
Yeah.
That's why you make piroggen. Okay. I was confused for a moment.
Vladimir Dragunov, what floor of the ivory tower is she on? I'm not sure what she's talking about, so I don't even know if she's even on an ivory tower.
I think she's trying to dance on the spire's tip.
I don't know.
But she doesn't get all the way up there.
Anyway, I want to know where she's going with all this stuff, because I can't relate to it.
Cottage jelly. In short, the food I ate as a kid in the hills.
Aww.
If you do a quick Google search of trashy foods, you find articles and listicles and Reddit posts listing things like tuna casserole, Velveeta queso, 7-layer dip, sloppy joes, American cheese, and pigs in a blanket.
Pigs in a blanket are not trash foods. Sloppy joes are not trash foods. Casseroles are not trash. I don't know. Kraft cheese is nothing special, but if you don't have cheese, you need that cheddar style soft flavor. I guess it works fine. I think in France they use Boursin. That's like their version of Kraft singles.
that thing in the lower left looks like a very ugly pizza.
I don't know what that is.
I've never heard of pigs in a blanket.
Really? Well, if Hawk was on, he'd talk to you for about 5 minutes about it.
I think we call that Würstchen im Schlafrock.
It's just dough.
Like it's a sausage in a pyjama.
Yeah.
I think that's what we call it.
Yeah, it's a thing in Europe. Like I don't know which place you live in Germany. Like, maybe Germans just don't make this. Like, or they just like have a different thing inside.
I think it's something that's still known, but it is very rarely made.
Okay.
So, what makes these foods white trash? Well, I have come up with a few general characteristics that they all have in common. White trash
I'm just waiting for her to drop the glass.
Is cheap. It has inexpensive ingredients, or it's available in bulk. White trash
cheap compared
food
to
has
what?
a long shelf life. It's not fresh, usually not organic. Think canned or frozen foods. White trash food is simple, it's very easy to eat or to prepare, and it's made of versatile parts. Its ingredients can be used in a variety of dishes.
So it's made of ingredients.
Yeah, it has stuff. Thanks.
So wait. So long shelf life is usually what people before industrialization always try to make out of their food. That's how we got all these preservation methods, like pickling stuff, like drying
pickling,
food.
salting, marinating, all kinds of bottling,
all made
canning
to make your food last longer. Or the double baking, for example, is also a form of making your food last longer. So that's number one. Simple. We talked about that. The general populace makes simple food because you need to get through the day. You don't have a banquet every day. You don't go to a 5-star restaurant every day.
Right.
Cheap, same thing. Cheap and simple. Because you can't, spending a lot of money on your food for your everyday work defeats the purpose. And made of ingredients, technically, that's just cooking. So I don't think with this list, she's not describing white trash food or junk food. She's describing cooking of poor people as it was 200 years ago. As it is in a way still today, just with different stuff that is not as healthy.
Just with name brands because people have a demand for pork and sugar and this and that. And here's a version of that on the shelf. That's all it is. Yeah,
and with the what I thought she'd be talking about, because she mainly listed snacks. What I thought she'd be talking about was the microwave meals, which are not cheap compared to cooking for yourself.
That's a bit different. Yeah, freeze-dried meats and
all this stuff is not cheap. These snacks are not cheap. Compared to their nutritional value, they're expensive crap.
All right. Here's Francis Board Coppola. Smud, you've never had pigs in a blanket? Wisp. Oh, that. I think we call those things loud, wet, throat-clearing sounds. German's a fun language. Okay. There is a name for everything, almost the simplest kinds of food in every culture, and you just don't know it until you see it. So.
Oh yeah, we have. I don't know. I think we have 20 different names for meatball type dishes. That are also all different types of meatballs.
Yeah.
Different ratios of what meat is used.
Yeah.
Completely different seasonings, and some use onions, some use big slices, some use tiny ones, some use none at all. They use other stuff.
Yeah, there's a dumpling in every culture. There's a meatball in every culture. It's pretty common throughout human lifespans that someone
is there bread in every culture?
Yeah, I'd say so. A meal, like a ground up grain of some kind. Yeah, for sure. Same with butter. There's definitely a butter in every culture. So, anyway. Vladimir Dragonov, is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich white trash food by this criteria?
Yes.
Anything would be.
Peanut butter.
It's cheap.
Lives forever. Jelly, if it's done right, lives forever because there's so much sugar in it. The sandwich, well, depends.
Bread.
Yeah, and well, you put that together, so you have the versatile parts. It's simple. It's actually cheap.
Yeah.
It has lots of energy, damn lots of energy. This is mainly from the peanut butter. The jelly's just giving you a sugar shock. Yeah, by her definition, that would make it white trash food, which is stupid because that's just a nice sweet breakfast.
All right.
So now the question is, what makes these elements trashy? Well, to answer that, we need to realize that food isn't a neutral thing. It's tied to culture and ethnicity and availability and seasonality and
Seasonality.
class. See, white trash food isn't inherently bad. It's only bad because of what it implies about the people who eat it.
That they are lazy, or some of them like specific foods, or is that they're just lazy to make food?
No, the people are eating the prejudice.
This is okay. I know people who work very hard every day, and they have to go to either Tim Hortons or McDonald's to get a coffee. They just have to. It's more expensive. It's a ritual, and they just do it. That doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean they're cheap people. It's just a ritual. Like making yourself eggs in the morning or whatever you do. There's nothing inherently right or wrong. You could save a lot of money if you just brewed your own coffee, but they like it. It's a treat for them. So good for them. They start their day. They get their caffeine hit. They go work outside or inside, whatever they do. That's fine. We don't think badly of these people. And in fact, I would say in Canada, at least for Tim Hortons, it's a very friendly environment. Like there's everyone, you meet everyone in a Tim Hortons, whether they're a worker who's been up since 4, working on power lines, or a guy that's about to go to university, like a professor. Like they're always, everyone goes to Tim Hortons to get a coffee, a donut, or whatever. So no, it's fairly common. There has to be something specific though she's talking about that I haven't identified with, which I don't get, because no one wakes up in the middle of the morning and starts eating some Fritos or chips. I mean, you could, but I guess you would have nothing else to eat. I don't know.
White trash food of the dawn. We eat you in the morning. We eat you at noon. We eat you in the evening.
I mean, you got to know that you can't just have chips for your meal for the day. That doesn't make sense. You got to know that. And I think everyone does know that. So I don't know where she's going with this. This is strange.
To explore this concept a little more, let's return to Chris Offutt's trash.
Stop abusing the glass.
He ties food to class this way. The term white trash is an epithet of bigotry that equates human worth with garbage.
Usually when you call someone white trash, you dislike them. That's true.
When you call someone trash, that means usually you think them as garbage.
Yeah.
Like that horrible garbage human from some years ago.
The word garbage is a synonym for trash. So I mean,
what an intelligent observation.
Yeah, it's like, okay, thanks.
Did you get a PhD for that?
English is my favorite language.
It's also my only language.
Implies a dismiss of the group as stupid, violent, lazy, and untrustworthy. The term white trash food is not about food.
No, just trash food.
Language.
Yeah, I can read.
Girl, can you read?
Can you type, lady? Can you copy paste the paragraph?
So is she misreading this, or did she mistype this, or miscopy paste this?
Maybe she's projecting the word white. I don't know.
Oh no, coded language. Ah!
You mean you could have done this take again?
Oh no!
How can you be so fucking pretentious and then do this?
It's white coded. It's white trash coded for classism. Oh my god!
So wait, if I eat a burrito, am I Hispanic coded?
Oh my god. I have so much in common with my southern neighbors.
Food is not about food, it's about social class. Dude, rich people can eat crap. Like, look at Notch. Notch has a considerable amount of money. What did he do? He installed giant M&M dispensers in his house, mansion, castle. I don't know what he has. Like that is trash food. I mean, yeah, it's candy, but that's also trash food. So is he a rich, privileged underclass garbage human? I don't. How does this work?
I don't know. Here's Francis Ford Coppola. Thank you. I think there was a Boondocks episode about black soul food and how unhealthy it was. Really? Huh. The main thesis was that slaves ate the food in the American South because of how labor-intensive the work they performed was. Is that trashy food to this woman?
That's what I was talking about earlier. If you work hard, you need to get your energy from somewhere.
You need something, yeah. So you can't just eat crap. You have to eat protein.
Yeah. Protein?
No. Protein, not poutine. Yeah, I must eat poutine. Yeah. Give me all the spuds and gravy you got, and just slather some cheese curds on top. I gotta build a fence or something.
Yeah, and the one time I ordered that, it got here a bit late, and all the cheese had already hardened out, and it just had this giant clump of cold cheese mixed with fries and dried up sauce, and it's like, how do you eat this? Who wants to eat this? This is horrible.
You gotta get a blowtorch and make it au gratin and just sort of fry it up.
I did put the item because it was just one thing. You know when you go to old ladies who have this big bowl of bonbons of candy?
Oh yeah.
And it's been there for 20 years and nobody ever took one out. And then they offer you, oh, do you want the bonbon? And you try to take one out, but the whole 200 bonbons, like in that Simpsons episode, they come with it. That's what this ball of poutine was. It's like, oh God. I didn't know what to do with this thing. I just thought, I try something new. Oh, this is this Canadian thing they talk about and wrote stupid papers about. Let's try it.
If you're going to go to
this clump of stuff.
If you're going to go to Montreal or Quebec, get the smoked meat and the bagels. Don't get the poutine. It's not for everyone.
I still don't understand what you guys are talking about, the Russian president, but okay.
Delicious.
Is there a special pronunciation for this dish that it doesn't sound like Vladimir?
Yeah. Oh. Crazy French. I don't know. Anyway.
For class. It's about poor people and what they can afford to eat. The term white trash is class disparagement due to economics.
Here's a brilliant,
and I completely disagree with that. Yeah, as the only reason they eat shit is because they do not know how to cook.
Here's a wonderful revelation. Every cuisine in the world was made by poor people. Every single dish. The only difference is when you get to the 19th or 20th century, when you have the royal kitchen, is the chefs can make stuff. You're talking about like molecular gastronomy or other very specific high-end forms of ingredients. Everything that you have ever known in a cuisine has been poor. Italian cuisine is rustic and poor. French cuisine is rustic and poor. All the cuisines of China. Japanese is basic poor.
Yeah. All the sushi.
Portuguese.
All the original sushi. It's just, you have this tiny piece of fish, and then you have a lot of rice around it to fill as a filler. With the same reason why in Germany we are obsessed with potatoes. The potatoes are filler.
The every cuisine, like we were talking about Turkish or French or Chinese or even Indian. The only difference with Indian is the number of ingredients. The same dish, just with more of this, more spices, more.
Yeah,
more meats.
they're much more sauce heavy, which I love.
It is, yeah, like we talk about flavor, like those things will blow you away if you're not prepared for them. So you have to know what you're getting into by the smell, like the oils and the spices and the herbs and all other flavors in there that you don't know of. That everyone should be eating Indian food. It's just fantastic. It's amazing. So
would you consider a doner, a kebab as trash food, as white trash food, although it's made by Turks, invented in Berlin, the modern version. So technically you could also say is it a German dish? It was invented in Berlin, although by Turks. Well, the hamburger was invented by Germans in the United States. So is that now, what would you consider that? German dish or an American dish?
And is it trashy by virtue of simply being ground chuck because it's the cheapest part of the meal or the cow?
Yeah, and the doner is usually I think veal is the English term, in small ribbed slices, similar to what would be similar to gyros, I would say, in how it's how it looks, but just it's not pork, and you have it in a sliced open in a bag of flatbread that you put in the veal. Then you put in lots of different salads and the respective sauce, and usually if you have a good place, they put the top layer again is meat, and this is relatively cheap, and it has tons of vegetables. It has meat in it. It's bread. It has a nice sauce. So this is a full meal, and if you compare that in price to getting a bratwurst or some burger, the doner is definitely the more nutritious, and usually the more energy giving stuff.
It's looking at like curry or chili con carne or any chili dish really.
Yeah.
It's very good. It's the most versatile dish I could think of. You could do whatever you want with it, and it's cheap as hell to make. It doesn't take much. So
yeah, and of course you shouldn't eat doner every day, but it's a poor people's dish for one. It's highly nutritious and cheap and tasty, but by her definition it would be trash because it's a type of fast food.
Yeah. Here is Fire Heart. Lobsters were once poor food bugs of the sea. Yeah, she mentioned that. Anyway, 8 minutes in, doing okay?
The thing about all of the foods that we listed earlier and the characteristics that define them and tie them together is that they're all poor people foods. White trash food is just...
I would argue, yes, snacks are cheap, but they're not food. You can't live off snacks. You could get energy from them.
Yeah.
But
I would even argue that some snacks are rather expensive for like how much nutrition they have.
Yeah.
Like people are just like pretty much tempted to it because they have addictions to sugar most of the time.
Yeah, that's what I said before. Yeah. And so I wonder, what is she eating? Number one.
I know that she's not drinking that wine or whatever that shit is in her hands.
Yeah,
she's just using it because like, she's unable to like gesture with her hands without holding something.
How many people do you know that routinely buy corn dogs? Like,
I know at least one person.
Routinely, like they go out of their way. I need a corn dog this month.
Every single morning. Single morning. If he doesn't have a corn dog, then he's dead.
That's fascinating.
And then what is it with? I don't know which African country it is. It's probably a couple where we send our chicken parts that we do not use here anymore, like the chicken feet.
Okay.
Somalia.
Nah, I think it's also other countries further north. But could also be Somalia. We're destroying their own economy with that because it's super cheap meat. And our ancestors did eat the chicken feet because they never left anything over that couldn't be used. They used all of the animal for whatever they could find a purpose for. But today, it's not seen as very well. We can afford the nicer parts. Is that then, by her definition, considered in Africa a trash food?
Yeah.
And are those Africans then white trash by her definition?
Pretty much. But yeah, good point. There are like parts of China that I heard that where they strictly use chicken breasts as dog food because they just use like chicken feet as snacks, pretty much.
Well, I know.
You could.
Oh, and they feed the breast to the dogs?
Yes, because they
part?
have like so much more like pleasure out of like the other parts.
We could talk
Oh
about
my God.
stuff like pizza or bread being cheap and easy to bake and make. Every culture would have a version of like rice or grain that is considered poor because it's anyone could eat it, anyone could make it. And you have like chupacabras, you have unleavened bread, you have I'm trying to think of other Italian, like there's all kinds of Italians and French breads that you're like, oh, I could that could be a meal. And there's no meat. It's just like spices and cheese and oil and maybe some mushrooms or whatever kind of vegetable. So that could be a meal because you can't afford beef or you can't afford chicken. So
Do you think this pretentious princess ever cooked herself?
Oh yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, I think she, if she's talking about food, she probably has, yeah. No one would ever.
But then she would know. Then she would know how cheap you can cook a good meal.
Well, I don't think she knows how to cook well. I think she knows she has cooked before. So.
Or do you think she just makes expensive hipster dishes?
You mean like from like Blue Apron, where they just give you the ingredients and you just follow the recipe? Maybe it's possible.
I've was once invited to the roommate apartment thing of an obese borderliner again, and she made sushi, and I have never had sushi like that. That wasn't sushi. I only ate one piece of sushi, maybe a second one. But I was already pretty full after the first because you couldn't properly because the nice thing about sushi is it's lots of small bits. That thing was so big, full with thickened up with like 3 ingredients and creme fraiche and something else, and I don't know. You ate one of these things and it felt like you ate a whole pig. Was like the size of your palm.
Well, sushi can't get filling just because of the amount of rice they serve when they roll.
Yeah, that thing that was not normal sushi. That was obese sushi. And she ate 6 of these things.
The quality of the rice and how it's prepared is very important to appreciating sushi, no matter what's inside.
Yeah, that wasn't about the rice.
All right.
That was just sick. And I could imagine that she makes that kind of food because then suddenly your poor people's cheap food becomes very expensive because you use tons of ingredients that you don't need.
Okay, well, there's lots of versions of that sushi with rice, focaccia in Italy. They're basically just sandwiches, but without the bread on top. It's very common. It's very cheap, and restaurants serve it, and they charge more for it because they know how to do it well and make it delicious. Mm-hmm. So poor food becomes heightened, elevated. So
yeah, with quality bonus.
With a chef who knows what they're doing. Exactly. Take basic ingredients. That's what pretty much most cuisines of the world are. It's cheap.
Yeah, and if you have an awesome grandma, she can make you that kind of food for free.
Yes. Those are the best kinds of women in the world.
Yes, cherish your grandma and get her recipes. She will die, sadly.
Yes.
Get her recipes. Have her write it down in her weird cursive script from 200 years ago. But have it on paper. You can decipher it later on.
All right. Here's Vladimir Dragunov. Thank you for the 5. So she's around the 6th or 8th floor on the ivory tower. It goes to 100. I don't know.
Oh, she acts as if she's already 50 floors higher up.
We don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. Why she's being pretentious with the glass, I don't get it. But whatever. It's her thing. She's making a character. That's fine.
Just another term for poor people food. But why is it poor people food? Well, cheap is obvious. You want food that you can get in bulk for cheaper because it's cheaper.
You already listed your criteria.
Even for things like animal meat, like deer or squirrel or even farm-raised cattle, pound for pound, it is way...
When she said, I'm sorry to be so nitpicky here, but...
Squirrel!
Yeah.
Did she say squirrel?
Yep.
Okay, we'll listen to that again. I just want to say that she deliberately says animal meat. What other meat is she excluding here?
Fish?
Human meat.
Yeah.
Aviary?
I was also thinking that she might mean human meat. Like, you know, normally you don't... We humans... We're actual humans, not you vampire lizard person. We normal humans, and I'm autistic, but I'm probably more normal, maybe even, which is very weird. We don't distinguish between human meat and animal meat when we talk about cooking, because we do not consider cannibalism to be normal. There's no need to make the distinctions. It's just you're giving me weird vibes here.
Yeah.
Probably not intentional, but
you know, there's like the skull behind her. I'm getting like different vibes from this video now.
Is it really grape juice in her glass?
I don't know.
She is a fucking vampire.
From another planet, probably.
Get your garlic out.
Oh no.
Way cheaper to hunt it or raise it yourself than it is to buy it.
Is it cheaper to raise your own cattle than buying it at the store? I would say no. It's way more expensive to raise it. But first off, you have to get a cow and, have them reproduce and wait and raise the damn thing, buy the grain, buy all the things they need to eat, get their shots. That is a lot of time and money.
Yeah,
and make sure that it follows like the guidelines. If it doesn't follow the guidelines, then you can't even sell it. You can't even consider like maybe consuming it. If like the government is like that.
There was that guy.
You would need to then, when after you kill it, a cow, that's a lot of meat. You would need to preserve all of that.
Yeah, there was a guy who did the experiment of, what if I were to create my own hamburger instead of going to McDonald's? And he, grew his own grain. He raised his own cow. He harvested his own tomatoes, like all the ingredients to make a Big Mac or whatever. And it cost him several $1,000s and time to go through this entire process just to make a hamburger. Obviously, other things came with it, but that was the experiment.
Yeah, of course, that's the initial. Well, that is technically, we call it a Milchmädchenrechnung, a milkmaid calculation, because in order to make that one hamburger, he would also have made tons of more hamburgers because he has the ingredients for them.
Right.
So that means that all this investment is for the amount of hamburgers that he could produce, not just the one. However, to get to the one, you have to make all of that investment. And So the experiment is a bit exaggerated in that, a bit sensationalized, but the message is still the same. The reason why the hamburger we get from the fast food store is so cheap is because of industrialization, due to the automation of so many processes. We can get the food, the ingredients for so cheap. Because there's one guy or company that specializes in making this one ingredient and selling it to so many other people. Because you yourself, if everyone would making the hamburgers for his or her family solely by themselves, that would be a shit economy. If you even want to call it an economy. So yeah, that wouldn't work the same way.
No.
It's why we have an economy, and an economy automatically makes what the socialists instantly condemn as capitalism the moment it goes away from cow trading and starts using an intermediary means to make trade easier, which we call money.
Now, I
if
will
we take
say,
that away, then everything gets horrible. I want to say something else.
There are some chefs that do their own hunting and foraging, and that is still a thing they choose to do. And I'm sure they can make a profit because they understand the economics, or else they wouldn't be open. So.
Oh yeah, right. We have this in Germany. We have two big problems, as far as I'm aware. That is one, deer. We have too many deer because we don't have predators. I mean, we just recently got a few wolves back, and the deer. If you have an abundance of deer, they damage the trees and damage the forests because they rub themselves against the trees, and that damages the bark, which then it makes the tree vulnerable. Which is why some trees here have developed thorns on their bark. Which is very annoying if you go through those types of forests. You go too close to a tree and your jacket gets stuck at the side of the tree. Well, there are no twigs. It's just thorns in the bark. And the other problem. So there's lots of deer culling. The other problem we have is boars, especially in East Germany, where I come from. And we can't eat most of them because when you shoot a boar, you have to before you can it is more easy to use it for self-consumption. However, selling it is usually impossible for the average man. You have to get every boar you shoot to radioactive testing because the boars tend to eat truffles, and these mushrooms accumulate radioactivity, and this is still the leftover radioactivity in the ground from Chernobyl. So to this day, we have a problem in Germany with masses of radioactive boars due to Chernobyl from 35 years ago.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Sadly, they're not glowing in the dark. But yeah, it got so
CIA.
It got so out of hands that we got boars and deer coming into the outer parts of Berlin at this point. Yeah, we have a problem. If you don't cull certain species, they get out of hand. That's the problem when you don't have predators.
Okay, let's keep going. We're almost at 9 minutes.
Yeah. Foods having a long shelf life is also good. It means that you can buy a bunch of foods right after you get your paycheck, and then that food will last you until you get your next paycheck. It means that you can stock up, which is especially useful if you do seasonal work, like agriculture. Foods being simple and being made of versatile parts means that they're easy to prepare, and part of that ease comes from being able to just throw a bunch of shit together and know that it will taste good. I mean, try this.
Okay.
Take a box of pasta or any starch. You can use rice or potatoes if you want. plus 2 cans of any kind of vegetable.
Cans.
Throw in some cheese and maybe some meat, and then throw that in the oven for 30 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and chances are it will probably be pretty good. Now, this is something that
Or it'll be a giant mess.
Mm-hmm.
Do not follow those instructions for making a casserole, guys.
That is. I can imagine the guy that you mentioned before that we covered.
Oh God, no!
Who just throws the whole can into the pot and then puts the next can into the pot and then lightly stirs it and doesn't even cook it. It's just all still raw or something.
Then he tastes it.
I can imagine
It's like
him exactly.
delicious.
Exactly. That's the type of how he follows the recipe. The way she just gave it.
Okay, maybe she doesn't cook. Maybe I was too generous with my description of someone talking about food. Maybe she's just here to make a video and she's rambling about food. You're like, okay.
I think she gets all her food delivered from fast food places and restaurants.
Uber Eats, just
Yeah.
I actually do a lot. I make these starch plus vegetables plus cheese plus meat casseroles a ton.
So you're
I
white
do
trash.
Rotini or farfalle, which I just call bow ties, plus a can of tomatoes and a can of spinach, plus either mozzarella or Parmesan cheese, and then throw it in the oven, and it's really good.
Okay, that by your definition, first off, is white trash food. You are white trash. You're not an elegant woman with a glass of wine. And, holy shit, I can't believe I'm saying this, my cooking's better than yours. And my cooking is not good.
Something else I do that I just had for dinner last week is rice, can of tomatoes, can of corn, can of black beans, plus some shredded cheddar and maybe ground beef. And it's also really, really good. Casseroles are
You're
cheap
using too much
and
cheese in
easy,
your food.
and they taste good. Foods that are inexpensive, last a long time, are really easy to prepare a lot of different dishes from, and that taste good are really valuable, especially to working class families. But now, because of poor working class and other marginalized people's history of making and eating these kinds of foods, our culture associates cheap foods with poor people.
Maybe in America.
And if there's one constant in American culture...
Well, if you're making stuff like that, I'd be like, yeah, it's kind of crappy. So you're just baking casseroles all the time? It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Absolutely no variety in her diet.
Well, yeah, I mean, do you really want starch every day or every week? I don't think so. Or carbohydrates?
It
Yeah, I mean,
sounds
that's-
like instant diarrhea.
It sounds like instant obesity. And
Yeah.
among students, casseroles are a thing. But usually, you make those not just for one person. Even if you live alone, you make enough to last you a couple days.
And when you go shopping, you're not on the lookout for bow tie pasta or specific unless you have a sauce. You're like, oh, I have something which is good, a sauce or fresh tomatoes. Great. Now I need something to work with that ingredient. I need to buy some whatever. I'm not like, oh, it's casserole night. I'm going to make a casserole. It's like, no, there's no such thing. People,
It sounds like she makes very basic one-pot dishes.
yeah, like the poor people who make casseroles, like we're talking about Italian, well, for my examples, Italian households, they make the noodles. They don't buy the noodles. They make them. They even grow their own tomatoes sometimes. So depending on where they go, some families, they have their ideas of sauce are just like tomato paste or
especially Germans love to have their own little vegetable garden in their Schrebergarten.
right. And once they have that ingredient,
that's a whole subculture.
they think, oh, what am I going to do with this thing? Now I have to do another dish. Now I have to do this to make it complementary because they're not just going to have one dish. They're going
If you ever get a chance, and you're in South Germany, if you ever get a chance, get some fresh self-made Spätzle. That's not the normal noodles. That's it's egg noodles, egg-based noodles. And when they're fresh, the stuff you get in the shops, the prefab stuff, it's not comparable to fresh ones.
I agree.
It's absolutely amazing.
It's usually a buttery cream sauce, I think, that comes with it. So it's served with.
No, you can make it. You can make it with different things. You can make it with goulash if you want.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's an American concoction. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that. No, I love spätzle.
American concoction.
Goulash, yeah.
Goulash is not an American creation. I don't buy that.
It's
That's an Eastern. Goulash is an Eastern European thing.
Yeah, it's Hungarian.
I don't know. Anyway, I'll check it out later. Not a big deal. Let's go to some super chats. Vladimir Dragunov. Texas has a problem with boars too. Government has put unrestricted hunting on them. It's popular to hop on a helicopter with an automatic rifle to cull them. That sounds like you're breaking a few laws, but okay. Fantastic.
Sounds like my thing, really. I wish I could take part in it.
I want an automatic rifle on a helicopter. Yes, that sounds like you're in the Vietnam or something. It's just like,
sorry, government. I gotta make sausage right now.
I need 4,000 rounds to be thrown into a forest full of boars. Okay.
This is how I make beans.
I just had to look this up now. Goulash, It is one of the national dishes of Hungary and a symbol of the country.
Yes, of course, but like since like it's a very popular dish in eastern side of Austria as well, and like because of that, it has become like an international food. It's like normal, like kind of like Italian cuisine. Like it's gets adopted by like different cultures as well. And I'm willing to bet like it's very different in the US.
There are like different versions of it.
I was referring to the casserole, not the actual soup.
That's totally different.
Yeah, even I felt a bit insulted by the claim that goulash was an American invention.
Nah, it was just.
We're talking about casseroles, guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Did I hear that wrong?
Well, I should have said sorry. Goulash casserole. Sorry, it's my mistake. Okay.
There is actually a stew out of goulash.
I wasn't talking about goulash casserole. I was just talking about spätzle with goulash.
To me, that sounds very similar to American goulash, but okay, that's fine.
Do you make spätzle in America?
Well, no, it's basically macaroni, right? So you're adding it to the goulash.
No. Spätzle is a completely different thing from all your other noodles.
Basically, spätzle or nokedli, like how we call it, it's basically you have like dough and you have like boiling water, and you put that into like not like a grinder, but like pretty much like very small bits, and then you just like boil it until like those bits like become like solid, and then you get them out. And you eventually like put it in your soup.
I've had it served.
It's kind of like you making like noodles in like a very weird way, but yeah.
I've had it served at German as well as Serbian restaurants.
Yeah, it's quite popular there.
Okay. Here's Vladimir Dragunov again. Armchair chef. I don't think she's much of a chef. I think she's just telling us what she does in the kitchen. I think that's fine. Again, Vladimir, look it up. The helicopter thing is real and legal. The Texas government wants to exterminate the boars in any way short of poisoning. With helicopters? That is nuts.
America.
It's Texas.
Fuck yeah. Dude, what if you're not driving the boars away? If you have a boar epidemic, sure, okay. Thing is, you don't want to get anywhere too close to a boar. A boar that gets too close to you will kill you.
Yeah.
Unless you have a shotgun.
or an automatic rifle.
and even then, I would say, unless the boar is a female that has young at the time, she won't care for the shotgun. she will charge you like a zombie boar thing until you're dead, and she can't twitch anymore. Like these things when they're in the
doesn't care about genders.
When they the females when they have young, that's not nice. They're hyper aggressive. Then they will aggressively charge you just for being in the vicinity, and that's a wide range vicinity.
It just I don't know. Like, all this talk about boar, it just reminds me of that amazing soup I had from boar. It was creamy. It was very meaty. It was exactly everything I ever wanted from a soup.
That sounds like awesome soup. I want some.
Okay. Anyway, back to whatever she was talking about. I can't remember. She was talking about so many other things.
Culture. It's that we kind of hate poor people.
No, we don't.
Now, I'm sure
you may hate poor people because maybe you're a socialist. I don't know.
How dare you talk about white trash people like this? I mean, look at you. You're all dressed up, drinking wine. This is cranberry juice, actually.
Ha!
You don't know the first thing about how these people live.
You just explained it to us.
Drink your juice, for fuck's sake.
Musical interlude.
What the last 11 and a half minutes been for, really? Because she's been just rambling about many points.
Yeah. And repeating herself.
What?
What is that?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I think she still has a pretentious dress beneath that.
Cell phone.
Oh, she's trying to make herself look like what she thinks white trash looks like.
What is that? Oh, beef jerky.
Oh.
Beef jerky is amazing. It's a great food for traveling.
I'm from Appalachia. I'm from a small town, and my family actually lived outside of town. We lived on a ridge far enough out that we didn't have cable TV, we only had dial-up internet, and we really only had cell phone service on a good day.
There was a time when everyone had dial-up internet.
You had cell phones and dial-up internet. That's a very interesting combination. Dial-up internet implies a phone line, and cell phones implied cell towers.
Yeah, this is I only had the Mercedes-Benz, and I couldn't afford a Lada or a Trabant. What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, my poor Jaguar.
Oh no. Here is Vladimir Dragunov. The boars are also an invasive species to top it all off. You know what? If it was legal to hunt boar, my cousins would be down there if they knew.
Tell them.
Yeah.
They need it in the war.
Time to get some pigs. Yeah.
The boar war.
They're gonna bring their crossbows. They'll just go nuts. All their pickup trucks filled with boar meat. Oh my god. Anyway.
A garden and a barn, and I played in the woods and never wore shoes. We were also pretty poor.
Nice.
Everyone
It's awesome.
in our town was. We were too far north to be real coal country, and too far south and too far east to be in the Rust Belt.
So you were farmers. What did you grow?
Our town was an oil and gas town. We had pipeliners come through, raise our housing costs, ruin our land, and
raise your housing costs? That's a good thing. It raises the property value. Do you mean taxes? Do you mean the price of water? What are you talking about?
Were you renting the house where you grew oil pumps? I'm confused.
I don't know, yeah.
And then leave. And with industry dying, poverty and drug abuse seeped in even worse.
Industry dying. So wait, the oil people came in, and then they came out.
Oh, what did the oil dry up, or what happened?
Yeah, that's weird. She's away from a village. She's off the normal grouping of civilization. So it's I don't know if you guys have been through rural areas. There's highways, and then there's a little cottage or a little hamlet. like that sort of scenario where you have a small community of houses. And she's saying that hamlet lowered or increased the value of living.
And it's probably wrong, but in my image I have this. In my head I have this image now of poor oil farmers. What?
Yeah. What does she grow on her farm? Is it food? Is it tobacco? What do you grow?
4. The default setting of our town was white trash. I grew up being West Virginia garbage. And we ate garbage, at least by the standards of outsiders. We ate
And you still cook
casseroles
garbage by your own
If
standards.
you're on a farm, you're eating relatively well. I mean, if you grow the food.
According to her, they were only growing oil and gas on their farms.
All my family members from both sides of my family that grew up on a farm ate very well.
Maybe your parents just couldn't cook.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. If you're not eating well, what the hell were your parents doing? What were they raising you on?
Yeah. I mean, after my grandma.
That is behind her.
Okay, I think I may have told this before. Maybe it was in another stream with someone else. After my grandma died, until I moved out, which was about 7 years, I'd say, all I ate was the same frozen pizza every day that my mom put in the freezer. Near the end of it, I was so fed up with that and malnutritioned that I started using the pocket money I had to buy stuff from the local Vietnamese place and the kebab once in a while, just to have something real in my stomach and to taste something, because I didn't learn how to cook as a kid. My grandmother sadly didn't teach me, and only near the end, just before I left town, I found a really amazing little pub that was cooking good German meals, and I got them for, well, not half price, but I got them cheaper because I befriended the guy who ran it with his wife or girlfriend, I don't know. Pretty old, and we talked a lot about music, and that kind of got that going. But essentially, I for 7 years I ate the same fucking frozen pizza every day. And my parents weren't poor. My mom only told me that all the time. My dad was I guess he was a workaholic in a way. So he wasn't in charge of food provision. He just made the money. The simple truth is, my parents, well, my father can cook, but he didn't because it wasn't around. And my mother can't cook if her life depended on it. So it was just frozen pizza. And she was a workaholic too. So fuck that. We had money. We were not lower class, but I ate like she describes. How does that work? It's because her stereotyping is bullshit. It comes down to the individual family. And as you say, if this is rural farmland type stuff, people usually know how to eat. And rural places are different from urban and suburban places. I rather expect people in cities to eat like shit, because they have to have all these fast food stuffs available. In a rural area, you don't have fast food places everywhere. Am I making sense?
It really depends on the family, yeah. And if you're around fresh produce, I mean, you're in farmland. Everything should be amazing. The meat, the vegetables, the fruits, everything should be great. So,
when I was in Austria for a short while, in a village, they were growing corn, and there was this trail when you wanted to get from one part of the village to the other. the shortcut was alongside the cornfield, and everybody in the village was taking out snacks from the side, the very edge of the cornfield. Like, you just take a corn cob and just snack on it on your way. That's what everybody did. That's the most fresh food you can imagine. It was cool. It was amazing. I mean, corn is not the most nutritious stuff, but that's just one example.
All right, here is Vladimir Dragunov again. The boars are also an invasive... Oh, I already said that. Sorry. Repeating myself. All right, 13 minutes and a half. Should we continue? Yeah, I guess we can keep going.
Bologna sandwiches and pepperoni rolls and grits and deer and squirrel.
You ate deer?
That is... Dude! You... Okay, I hate her now. I absolutely hate her. Deer is not trash food. What were the other things she was saying?
Squirrel.
Yeah, I mean, squirrel is a bit that's just nonsense. There's no meat on a squirrel. Like, what the hell? It's like eating sparrows. Yeah, you do that for snack if you don't have anything else, but or can do it as a delicacy. But deer, she named 3 things. Just go back a second here.
Sure.
Rolls and bologna sandwiches and pepperoni rolls and grits and deer and squirrel.
Okay, it was just 2 animals, but deer. If you have access to eating deer, you're not eating white trash, poor food. I can't get over this. I love deer. That is not trash food. That is actual amazing meat. This little fuckhead is a very fine example of someone truly not knowing how privileged she was. And probably is still.
Here's Vladimir Dragunov one more time. How is deer white trash? Good question. I feel insulted as a hunter. Deer tastes a lot better than a steak, in my opinion. You know, venison, deer, these are all wonderful meats. And how they're preserved and how fresh they are, how they're cleaned, how they're dried. You get a flavor for the gameness of all these animals that are killed. So...
Yeah, deer is wonderful. And she's an absolute idiot. She puts deer into the trash category of meat. She puts it on the same level as squirrel. But I have no words for this insanity.
I've never actually eaten squirrels. I don't know what the...
Neither have I. Like, I actually am amazed that people eat that. Like, that has to be like desperation.
Yeah.
All right.
For the scroll, that is.
Had a dessert called potato candy that was literally just a tablespoon of boiled mashed potato mixed with 3 or 4 cups of powdered sugar.
You know what? We had dessert pizza. You know what it was? Bread and sugar. Or flour and sugar. That's all it was.
Is she now shitting on potatoes?
Whatever. Everyone has their own version of dessert. It's fine.
Rolled out, covered in peanut butter, rolled back up, and then cut into bite-sized pieces.
This sounds amazing.
It has a similar taste and texture to cowtails, which I think are also a white trash candy, so I don't know if there's actually a class.
Okay, what you just described here, it doesn't sound like there's enough in stuff here to make this into trash candy. Okay, 3 or 4 cups powdered sugar. Into a tablespoon of mashed potato. What do you mean with a tablespoon of mashed potato? The finished product of mashed potato? That is the doughy, creamy stuff? Or do you mean the powder? When you don't make the mashed potato yourself, actually, from actual potatoes and milk and whatever else you throw in there to make the actual mashed potatoes.
but this dried up powder crap that because that would make more sense with this list of ingredients.
Seems a bit out of proportion. I don't know. That doesn't.
Yeah, the 3 to 4 cups sounds that does sound like a bit much.
The sugar is ridiculous. The tablespoon does not make any sense.
Yeah, but generally with these ingredients, I can imagine you can make something interesting with that.
Anyway,
I don't think she knows how to make mashed potatoes herself.
Candy. We also literally had a dish in my family.
Potatoes are not trash food.
Called, and I'm not making this up, white trash casserole. We ate trash. We ate good food too.
No, it sounds fine.
Homemade ethnic foods, baking from scratch, good and good for you foods made from what we picked from our garden. But when I was growing up, I didn't really see the distinction between good food and trash food. It was all just food.
Sometimes it's okay to just have that big filling casserole with the whole family. That's great. That doesn't mean that it's trash just because you give it this nickname. Bloody hell.
And it all tasted good. It was relatively easy to make.
Sounds like it's good food.
Mostly inexpensive. Just like Chris Offutt, I didn't realize that I ate trash until I left my hometown to go out into the world and be an adult or whatever. It wasn't
I don't think you are an
until I
adult.
left my family's little holler in the hills that I realized just how trashy I really was.
You ate deer.
I do really unironically love Slim Jims. I definitely felt a little embarrassed. When I realized that casseroles are apparently a white trash thing, I was surprised.
The casseroles are universal. There's nothing wrong with them.
Yes.
Like,
it's not a white trash thing.
Why? Do you not realize just how cheap and easy casseroles are to make? And they taste really good. Why would you not want to eat casserole?
Okay, now she's just being emotional.
Okay,
this is...
Yeah. She feels guilty and disgusted for having come from an, by her standards, allegedly poor place. She's disgusted by being poor and probably hates poor people or people that are poorer than her because it reminds her of what she considers her poor youth. That's the vibe I'm getting. She dreams of the princess life, I think. And I'm still waiting. We're 15 minutes in. I'm still waiting for a contrast example of what would constitute good food.
Well, I think that's gonna be the part that like Smud really was pissed about. But yeah, I don't think lasagna is particularly cheap, really.
It is.
If you want to make a good one,
well,
yes,
that's why you make it.
Standard.
You don't make bad lasagna, and that's why everything has to be done by scratch. So you have all the ingredients. You spend the morning, folding out the dough and making the dough, and you have like everything. Like it doesn't have to be fancy. There's nothing really spectacular about lasagna aside from having fresh tomatoes and fresh dough, and that's it, really.
Yeah, spices, like high quality spices.
Whatever you want to make out of, like, there's no real specific recipe for like tomato-based lasagna. You could add meat, you could add cheese, you could add vegetables, you could do all kinds of crazy things. So it really depends on what you got and why you're making it, because usually making lasagna takes time. So someone's birthday, some anniversary, there's all kinds of reasons you make it, because it is the queen or king of pastas. It's a big thing. It's not just, here, I'll chop up some dough and make some linguine. It's, I'm gonna make layers and layers and layers of meat and cheese and vegetables or whatever. So it's great. It's one of those heartwarming soothing Italian dishes that everyone should try at least once in their life. And there's so many ways to make it. And I just know the basic way. There's all kinds of other recipes from Italy I've never heard of before. So it's a big deal.
And I wonder where her poor opinion of potatoes comes from.
Well, I don't know. That dessert was weird.
Yeah, that is true. I agree. However, potatoes are such a basic food. There's so many different types of potatoes, so many different ways on how you can prepare them, and you need different types of potatoes for different dishes because of how they work after cooking. Some are more hard, some are more we call it floury. Some you can peel more easily than others, and and then you have the types with different connotations of their own flavor, and it's just there's entire dishes that is just a baked potato, for example. Japan has its own version of that. It's just a potato that you put to the fire or into the oven, and then you bake. And the Greek have the Greek have a version of that, and they then put sour cream. They cut it open at the end and put sour cream in it, and that's your dish. That's your whole meal, because a potato, one potato, that's the size of your hand. That fills you up for the day. It's mainly carbs, but it will give you energy.
Here is insult to the human race. Thank you for the 10. As Georges points out, funny she's trying to go the I relate to this angle when earlier she seemed to be looking down on people who ate this, saying they take pride in not being the norm. Well, that was the problem. We didn't know what the norm was. And
maybe she's trying to play off some gotcha thing, but if she does, it's not very well executed.
She's too dumb for that.
The norm of rural America in a certain state is different than the every other state in America. So I don't know what she's referring to as the norm, and that was the problem with that comparison. What is relative to something we can't compare to? I don't know. Vladimir Dragunov, one more time. Forget Ivory Tower. She's in the Gold Tower that has jeweled encrusted window frames. Yeah, but I'm just like you. I came from this. I know we ate deer and squirrel and stuff. Maybe squirrel's a delicacy. Yeah. I have no idea.
And now she can afford teaspoon earrings. Great.
I thought those were shovels, but okay.
What high class taste you have developed.
She puts a sweater on. I am now rule America. Okay.
I am now the white trash. I
just realized that it should be like a hammer and a sickle earring.
Oh god.
Around the time that I started to accept my upbringing instead of fighting it, a weird thing started to happen.
Oh no, come on. Don't make me remind me of this. God. Play all of it. Play the whole song. Let's go.
This is great for monetization, isn't it?
Oh god, I'll be blocked so fast. Oh jeez.
Oh no.
West Virginia and Appalachian culture in general became mainstream. Things like Fallout 76, for better or worse, and Hillbilly Elegy, for better or worse, started to make their way into the public consciousness.
Never heard of that.
It's a goddamn trailer. It's a video. It didn't become part of the public consciousness. What are you talking about? What? This is stupid.
This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
How did Fallout become part of the public consciousness when they released a trailer on Fallout 76?
You know, that song has been up and down the charts so often. Even in Germany.
You could argue that's the best iteration of the song. that's the best trailer they've ever made. But that doesn't suddenly make, now the video game world of Fallout has now become part of the poor world, like the poor rural America. It's like, no. What are you talking about? People who play CSGO have no idea about Fallout. They don't give a shit. People playing StarCraft 2 don't give a shit.
Especially Fallout 76.
People who play Fallout don't give a shit about Fallout 76.
People who make Fallout 76 doesn't give a fuck about Fallout 76.
It's not popular. It's a failed game. The only good thing arguably was the trailer. I admit the trailer was pretty interesting.
But it's a AAA game, therefore it must be successful. And the culture and
this is the same argument she's making with Poor White Trash or whatever. The trailer,
the white trash deer.
Yeah, the marketing is so good, but the game is so bad. It's just.
I just absolutely don't understand how someone from 2020 November thinks that Fallout 76 was made into mainstream. Other than it being the shittiest Fallout game and the worst multiplayer experience, I can't imagine it being a mainstream story.
Maybe I'm just getting hung up on the term that she used. She could have just said it became popularized. It's like, fine, that's fine, but not consciousness or some nonsense. Anyway.
People knew West Virginia was a state. They knew all the words to country roads. They knew what pepperoni rolls were. And they loved it.
No, they didn't.
Just like Chris Offutt's experience with white trash parties, I was starting to see people who did the same thing with my backwards, trashy Appalachian foods. They were being celebrated. Now, you'd think that this would be a good thing, right? And yeah, to some extent it was. I don't have to constantly explain that, no, I'm not from Western Virginia, and yes, West Virginia is actually a state. But it was also just weird. It was weird to see things I'd been made fun of for most of my...
Are we talking about your reaction to a video game trailer and how you think about it? Is this what we're devolving into now? When Michael Jackson released Thriller, my life changed. Okay. This is not a cultural moment. This is just a video game trailer that sucked. Or the game sucked. The trailer was better. Mm. It's a reiteration of a classic song. It's from the state I was in. Yeah, and? Bring it back to the topic, honey.
Adult life suddenly celebrated and literally devoured by the upper echelons of society.
Who is devouring Fallout 76 in the upper echelons of society? What gamer is going, oh, did you play Fallout 76 last night?
How is society supposed to devour something it isn't even looking at?
It is a pile of crap. It has always been a pile of crap. The people who play it know it's a pile of crap, and they're there just because it's Fallout. They're running off nostalgia.
And what Matthias in the chat wants me to tell the panel that she is probably talking actually about the culture that the music talks about, which in Matthias' eyes is good, in his opinion.
No one listens to that song and takes the words literally going, oh, that's what it's like in West Virginia. No, They hear a catchy song, they see the game series they like, and they go, I can't wait to play that game. And then they don't because they find out it's a pile of crap. The same thing happened with Andromeda. I don't know what music they used for Anthem, and I don't care. But it would be the same effect. Expectations go down. Boom.
What game? Apex Legends? What?
Anthem. It's two games from BioWare. Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem.
Yeah, I know. There's just been so many duds coming out in these past years. These triple A duds that... What the hell is going on?
Yeah, the marketing is bigger than the actual experience. It's like, how could you screw this all up? You pay someone else to do your marketing, and you suck at the thing you're supposed to be good at.
Sounds like Hollywood.
Yeah, the marketing, the HR, fantastic. They got those basics figured out. But when it comes to making art, or quality anything. It's just garbage. Here is Vladimir Dragunov. The characters Fallout would love to live in modern rural America. Yeah, I guess so. As opposed to radiated everything, yeah.
Radiated boars.
Yeah, or Cazadors. Vladimir Dragunov again. Yes, you see, these uneducated mongrels didn't know West Virginia existed until Fallout 76. Probably. Because why would they? They're not all American. People play Fallout the world over. They just hear a cool Western song. They go, that's a cool Western song. And it has Fallout in it. It's catchy. It's well produced.
Okay, that's not modern, but where's Red Dead Redemption playing anyway?
See,
there's
a game whose trailer I don't even remember, but I do remember seeing not the cutscenes, but the vistas. They took landscape shots of the environment, of the open world, and maybe someone was like, riding a horse through them. But wow, those were gorgeous. Like, remember the crazy spiel that was it the GDC or was it E3 where what's his face was telling about the level of detail and all this bullshit about how great Fallout 76 is going to be, like 40 times the detail. And then you look at the game, it's a pile of crap compared to Red Dead, Red Dead is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, and it was designed that way. They didn't skimp on graphics or level of detail or Z buffering.
Yeah, you can't just always throw an empty open world out there and then expect people to love it and pay for it if the rest of the system is shit.
Yeah, it's always the downgrade which gets you from the trailer to the game on launch.
Yeah, what Hollywood has a lot of great artists in there, prop makers and all of that stuff. The writing is that they led through to their big titles is utter shit. The game industry with their AAA titles, oftentimes the writing is shit and the game design is shit. The two crucial elements. Like, what's going on? A really good title doesn't even need that big of a marketing. Like, if you completely screw it like Planescape Torment, you lose a gem of video game history to oblivion, and it has to be rediscovered years later.
Well, trying to sell Planescape Torment.
But in general, if you overdo your marketing while not making the actual product, I'd call that fraud.
Well, it depends, because you're trying to sell a concept like Dune or Planescape Torment to the general gaming populace or the movie populace. It's very hard. How do you do that? How do you condense Dune, the movie, into a trailer, or Planescape Torment into anything, really? Because Planescape Torment didn't really have too many cutscenes that would make sense. And
because that was a... Sorry, looking for earplugs. Planescape Torment is from a time when you marketed through video game magazines and articles.
No. Compare that
and demos.
Compare it to Final Fantasy VII, right? They had multiple trailers, and they talked about 200 animators and programmers and all. They talked about the technical aspects with this epic music and a bunch of cutscenes. You're like, okay, that's how you do it. Planescape Torment had cutscenes a few years later, just not on the same scale. Plus, the world of Planescape Torment is so strange, it's hard to translate into a believable realism.
I wouldn't know how to market a mainly text-based adventure on either a trailer or even a TV ad, which is a short trailer, if you will. I wouldn't know how to do it.
It's tough. No, it is tough, but it can be done. But it's a monumental task because there's a lack of.
You would need to.
Of media.
Because it's Planescape Torment is 90% narrative driven.
Well, okay.
What you would need to do to make a trailer about it is have a narrator tell you a story about this world.
That's true, but they did have voice acting, which Final Fantasy VII didn't. So they had that one extra aspect of media. So you could have cutscenes of Ravel or cutscenes of the Nameless One or whatever, but it's very quick. So you have to get very specific scenes to play a narrative of identity and forgetfulness and being reborn, and this crazy idea of a flying skull and a box with spider legs, and it's like, oh, what is going on? Like it's like Farscape almost. Like, how do you sell Farscape for fantasy? It's tough. So that's the kind of thing you'd have to do to make sense of a gamer of those, because they're coming into PlayStation era. They're coming from Super Nintendo. They're like, what is this? What is this D&D shit? You know, they're a different mindset. So anyway, we're getting way off topic. And we only have 7 minutes left from her. So anyway, the popularity of West Virginia through a video game trailer.
Suddenly, what I ate wasn't weird anymore. Well, it wasn't bad weird. It was more weird in a cool novelty kind of way.
Like deer?
But is that a good thing?
I would say deer is pretty novel. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, but she thinks deer is trash.
I mean, what is it that has so suddenly turned the tables and made my Appalachian trash foods acceptable? Well, nothing good. So, what's the actual problem?
You know, before
with
this
trash
is the thing. This is the thing. This is why we talked about pizza before. Before Queen Margherita elevated the pizza. Pizza was considered trash food. Because it's only eaten by poor people and had very simple ingredients.
Well,
or mainly because it was eaten by poor people. Now we have porridge. The same deal. Very, very, very simple dish for poor people. And now we get this super expensive hyper porridge made by hipsters. With these special different grains mixed in, and maybe here a few tickleberries, and that's when you get the luxury version of the thing that was the poor people's food.
Yeah, we had focaccia, which is basically just thicker bread version of pizza back in Roman times.
Oh yeah, that's delicious.
Yeah, so we had these versions of meals that people don't know are not necessarily delicacies, because when you're talking about Napolitana style pizza or anything northern Italy, like that's more refined, because Roman style crust is rather thick, and not the level of focaccia, but it's pretty heavy duty. So you can treat things, and that's what we're doing with all of our rustic dishes. We're elevating them by having better and fresher ingredients. Roughly the same concepts, just with, instead of olive oil, they're using truffle oil or some bullshit. So it's all this stuff to make something cheap be more expensive, more flavorful, and they'll put expensive ingredients like caviar or truffles or foie gras or God knows what else. So they can do stuff like this at restaurants. And you're like, oh, this is Italian. It's like, no, this is your crazy chef trying to reinvent, I don't know, French.
Try to
Italian
reinvent
cuisine.
the potato.
Yeah, but that's why you go to a restaurant, to see what the chef can do.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all fine and dandy, and I don't understand this concept of trashy foods unless you're talking about junk food, and then there's no argument. It's just crap things you shouldn't eat in the first place. And I wouldn't even call that cheap snacks. Snacks are crap you buy for Halloween and you give out to kids because they like that stuff because it's salty and sugary. So anyway.
It's used for the food poor people eat, but now that white trash potlucks are getting popular, isn't that a good thing? I mean, doesn't that mean that now the stigma will be gone and poor white trash folks can eat whatever they want without judgment? Well, not quite. Implicit in the menu of white trash parties is a vicious ridicule of the people who eat such foods on a regular basis.
I disagree. I'm sorry.
People who attend these parties are cuisinally slumming.
What?
Temporarily visiting a place they never want to live. They are the worst sort of tourists.
What?
They want to see the Mississippi Delta and the hills of Appalachia, but are afraid to get off the bus.
What are you... Okay, if you were on a bus tour...
This sounds like some stupid postmodern neo-Marxist bullshit drivel paper.
If you're on a bus tour, you have paid for the tour. Your itinerary is figured out. You're not scared. You're excited. You're like, wow, I'm going through the Appalachians. I'm going to New Orleans. I'm going through a tour of Eastern Coast Canada or whatever. Mm-hmm. No one's scared.
Tourists don't want to stay on the bus. They want to get off the bus.
Want to get off the bus. Hey, what's that? Stop the bus. No, we have a plan. No. They want to get off as much as possible. The train goes by. Let's stop here and wait for 2 hours or 3 hours or a day. It's like, no. We have an itinerary. So, first off, this doesn't happen. Secondly, I don't know who ridicules people for eating Fritos or gummy bears or whatever. It's junk food. No one cares. If you're like that guy that we saw on YouTube making marinated tomatoes in water, then we'll ridicule you.
Yeah, that is trash.
That is ridiculous. That is just stupid.
That is waste.
I don't know what that is.
It's wasted ingredients.
Yeah, you're basically taking away all the flavor out of a tomato or beans or whatever and putting it in a freaking bowl or calling it a dish. So this is not... Whoever wrote this is wrong. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like someone's making up some fantasy reality.
They aren't actually celebrating the people who actually eat these foods. They're putting on the costume of poor white trash person, and
this is going to cultural appropriation
because it tastes good.
That's what she's describing.
It's fun to pretend to be something you're not.
Okay, so when I eat a package of Cheetos, I'm pretending I'm white trash. She's describing the mechanism that is described by what the left calls cultural appropriation.
But she complains about the cultural appropriation of West Virginian culture.
It's a snack food. It's a series of cheap things you buy at the grocery or at the corner store because, I don't know, you have kids coming over and they want to eat simple things that are tasty.
It's the I don't want people to enjoy the stuff that I hated about my youth. The food.
You can't find deer at the local corner store, so I don't know what she's talking about. I wish I could. That'd be amazing. Wish I could get lamb at the corner store.
I mean, imagine being so poor that you eat garbage like Fritos or bologna. Ugh, gross.
I ate bologna growing up. There's nothing wrong with bologna. It's a perfectly fine meat.
Freedom to have bologna? What the fuck are you talking about? You're in the Western world. If you want bologna, you can get it when you want.
Mortadella, bologna, any kind of cheap cold cuts. I mean, that was my lunch growing up. So I don't get it.
But the thing is, when someone wears the costume of poor person, they aren't breaking boundaries or ending stigma. They're just perpetuating classism.
No, they're moron. Not. You absolutely... Okay, she said bologna, right? So bologna or mortadella, those are considered meats that are very cheap, right? No one goes out of their way to buy that because...
Well, bologna is a leftover meat. It's what you make from the leftovers.
It's something that, it's very low quality. No one really goes out of their way to get it because there's better things to buy at better prices. And
it's honestly like most salami is also a leftover sausage.
That's a bit different.
You can make quality salami from quality parts, but the majority of salami, at least the one that I know in Germany, is made from the trash that's left over so that it can be used and sold.
And even then, if you have a nice slicer, you can make very nice thin slices of mortadella, and it's a very lovely buttery texture, and it's simple to do. But there's nothing wrong with eating it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with frying that up and making a an hors d'oeuvre or just having it by itself. There's no, oh, you're eating mortadella. No one ever cares. No one says a thing. It's just a cold cut. You go to the butcher, you buy some meat. Good for you. You have some taste. Oh, you bought mortadella? Hey, it was on sale. Good for you. It's always on sale.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? I would be impressed if people went down the street and went to the butcher instead of the corner store and bought bologna. That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with bologna.
The entire concept of trash foods is classist. Because it's not just about the food. It's never been about the food.
It is about the food.
It's about the people.
No.
And seeing them as less
Fucking
than
narcissist.
people. Seeing them as trash.
What is this? How did we get here?
I think she finds her ego attacked, insulted by whatever.
I don't look at a chef and say,
That's
well,
she makes it about that.
this guy's not Filipino. Why is he at a Filipino restaurant? It's like, that's retarded. That is the dumbest shit. If I see a French chef or a French guy and he's cooking Japanese, I don't go, well, clearly it's not going to be any good. That's stupid. There are all kinds of disciplines you could learn. A chef knows many things. The fact that they like making a certain different ethnicity food that they didn't grow up around. Like, what? Can we not learn from other people? Can we not read a book and be enamored by another culture? Like, what's wrong with that?
Unless you belong to that specific culture, yes.
I must
consider the racism.
Because I'm Italian, I must cook only Italian. I must learn how to make lasagna.
Yes. Only Italian. No,
Stay in your lane.
Tiramisu.
Holy jeez.
Stay in your lane. It's not stereotyping, it's coding.
I'm Italian coded because I'm Italian.
Economic status dictates class and diet.
Oh my.
We arrange food in a hierarchy based on who originally ate it.
I mean, yeah, if like you're like a shit country in the Soviet Union, like in the middle of the 20th century, the economic status is probably going to dictate your diet, because like you either die or like eat your neighbor, especially if you lived in the Ukraine in a certain time period.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Money does dictate a lot of things. This is true. Why you're categorizing it with class, I still don't know.
Squirrel.
I feel like this is like the case where like the rural girl went to the city and got like completely brainwashed, because like I just can't believe that like she only had like bad experiences growing up on a farm or like whatever that she was talking about. This just feels weird.
I don't know what this is pointing at. Why it's what is white trash class? Is that poor class? Is that
the working class of white people who don't give too much for their culinary needs, so they just gotta go with like cheap foods. But like that doesn't make much sense, because like some of the foods that like she mentioned are kind of expensive, like these snacks. Yeah, like other carb diets.
The farmers that make their own stuff, they don't make their stuff 100%. They still go to the grocery. They still go outside. They have to get in their truck or car and go buy some other foods. So they're not completely self-reliant.
Yeah, like I used to, as a kid, like we used to go to like a second home where we pretty much like, it was like such like a distant village that like you had like one truck driving by giving you dairy products like milk and like other like bakery products like bread, and that's it. Like if you want to go to the actual bakery or like some other shop, you had to like walk to the next village, which was like 5 kilometers away from you. Yeah. So you either like catched it or not.
Yeah, the dairy truck came by, or the produce guy came by, whatever the large tractor he was pulling, and you would buy from him or trade with him. And that's what, even in the cities, people, like we have a brand called Gay Lee, and one of my uncles was a Gay Lee driver. And because the butter or the milk or whatever he had was no longer fresh, it was considered waste. So you have to throw it out. But there's nothing wrong with it because it's, 4 hours old or whatever. So he would trade it with other people for bread or for vegetables or whatever, because that was one of the perks of being a Gay Lee driver.
Yeah.
So that was normal. That still happens today. So it's not no one's going, oh, you're a truck driver. It's like, yeah, you're a farmer. You're a produce guy. Like what? It's all food. Everyone wants something else, because if you work in a place that only makes one thing, of course you're going to want something else. That's just bartering. This happens at restaurants too, with bars. Do you guys have a bottle of Cristal? No. Oh, this guy over there down the street does. Okay, well, we'll trade him some Exo Exclusive or something. They do that because they need it. That's just how it goes. No one says you're rich or poor or worse off or less quality. It's the business
of the poor. The food is called trash, and then the people are. When the white elite take an interest in the food poor people eat, the price goes up. The result is a cost that prohibits poor families from eating the very food that they've been condemned for eating. The status of the food rose, but not the people. They just had less to eat. See,
what?
Food can become a means of perpetuating prejudice.
All right, this is dumb. This is just stupid now. Prejudice for what you eat? What are you, in grade school? And you've never seen like a biryani before, or smoked meats? Like, what's that smell? Ugh, you're gross.
It kind of sounds like thing that happened like I think a month ago, but like there was like an IKEA shop in Georgia, and I think the manager, or like anyone who had to like manage like the food, was offering watermelons for everyone, but like they made it into the news because like there were like a lot of black employees there, and they took it as like a racist act because they were offered fried chicken and watermelon.
Really?
Yes, and then they made the guy apologize for that because even though he's just like a white guy who has like maybe the same diet as that, is made a very bad racial stereotype. Like, oh god,
giving away or helping out, giving food out is one of the best things you could do, because everyone, like, they're not picky like some people are, but if you give them like fresh fruit, like, oh, fresh fruit, yeah. You don't have to take it, but on a hot day,
I think it was like an event that like all the employees were invited to like have like lunch together or something like that.
Oh, that's nice.
And they had like that on the menu.
Yeah, I love fried chicken. I love watermelon. I mean, these are things that are just better than like a pizza party, because like anyone.
Oh yeah, especially now in summer. Like I just wish I could have watermelon every day.
Oh god. That'd be like the best, well, not the best dessert, but just the nicest dessert to relax with on the porch or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you or I showed on Twitter, I had with that chicken dinner came a pineapple drink. It was this watered down, it was so refreshing. And when you think of pineapple, you think of really sweet and tart, kind of like a pulpy flavor. This was just a light amount of sugar of pineapple, and pineapple is a pretty intense flavor, so this was just so refreshing. And I would never have had that unless we went to that Filipino chicken place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would never, like, why would you judge a culture based off their food? That's ridiculous, let alone individuals. It's like, obviously they grew up on this. It's indicative of the region they come from. Of course, they're going to know what to do with it. No, obviously, there's some foods you're not.
Yeah.
There's foods.
Should we have segregation for foods as well?
Yeah, if you come from the Caribbean. He's like, oh no, we don't want your food here. It's like, I would love to have jerk chicken every week if I could. I love jerk. All these great flavors I don't get because we don't have them. We don't have them. They're not indigenous to our region, at least in Canada. Good Lord. What do we have? What do we have? Apples, maple syrup from trees, and that's that's all I can think of. And rye. Lots of rye. So, anyway.
Well, from now on, you have to live off that if you don't want to offend anyone.
Oh, God.
Those marginalized groups.
Yeah, and the rich get all the good rye and all the pure maple syrup, I guess.
It's okay. Like the white trash people can have all their deer and squirrels or whatever. Put some maple syrup on the deer.
And rainbow trout and salmon and all this other nice stuff that you have to hunt for. Yeah.
Well, the bears can have those, yeah.
Okay. Vladimir Dragunov, just say food is racist already. I think classism is a pretty big problem that she's bringing up, and you're just like, honey, who are these? Who says this? Really? We're not in grade school anymore. We're not alien to the world of food and adult culture and cuisine. That's silly. Now, if you want to talk about eating squirrels or beaver or some obscure mammals or rodents, then okay, that could seem like, all right, are we in this dystopian society, or are you starving in the woods? Like, what are you doing? Then you could talk about those scenarios, but those are coming down to individuals. So, anyway, a few more minutes left.
Foods rise up that social ladder, even if only for a night when they find themselves on the dining room table of a wealthy suburbanite throwing a white trash party. But
that doesn't happen. A white suburbanite throwing a white trash. Do you understand what you just said? A suburbanite throwing a white trash party goes, what are Cheetos? I've never seen them before. Either they know them or they don't. They're not going to be like, what are Pop Rocks? Like, what is this junk food? You know, they might have heard them by now. What are Twinkies? This is not a big deal.
People down, you begin to see a whole group of people, who are already struggling, as lesser, as embarrassing and gross and weird and as trash.
Relative to who? Who's comparing them to themselves? Like, what is going on here? I mean, maybe she's never met people from the city at that point in her life, or city folk never dated a girl from the farmlands or the urban lands where they grew up on a farm. Like, I don't know. This is not some great revelation. People grew up on farms, and then they migrated to better living conditions and society in metropolitan cities.
What do you give the recipes to grow up with?
I know someone, or I have met people who grew up on farms, who have lived on farms, or have family members who lived on farms, who produce things from farms. This is not some, I'm not some cloistered part of Toronto. Even people from outside the country grew up on farms. It's pretty common. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I just still feel like my previous point is that like she met the wrong kind of people, and they are like giving her all these ideas that like stereotypes and such.
I don't get it.
Can't believe how stupid this is.
This is a strange definition of white trash that does not go through my... When I think of white trash, I don't think of people eating junk food. It's just a strange thing.
Polite society regards me as stupid, lazy, ignorant, violent, and untrustworthy.
Because you eat...
Polite society regards you as stupid. What the fuck?
Because you eat deer? Or you ate deer?
Fucking privileged cunt.
Trash because of where I'm from. I am trash because of where I shop.
Where do you shop?
That's you denigrating yourself.
She never said where she shops. What's wrong with buying chips from the corner store? How does that make you bad? Because you have a hankering for potatoes and salt.
Yeah. Sorry, I zoned out for the last 3 minutes or something of the video.
She's just lowering all this stuff of accusations and hating people because they're different. And I'm like, where did this come from? Thought we were talking about food.
Trash because of what I eat. But human beings are not.
Oh, shut up. This is a waste of time. Come on. What are we doing? Honey.
Is that her conclusion?
You needed that much blabber for that.
What a waste.
Cyber in the chat said this just sounds like I'm a white girl in the South, but I want my oppression points.
I don't know.
Maybe. Yes.
I don't know what this is. Anyway, let's get out of here. Go to Stream Memes. See if we got any.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Today at 5:41. Okay, Mateus. How things can be elevated. This thing seems unique. I will pay high to eat it. Yeah, no shit. This thing I've never seen of before. How does it taste? Oh my god, it's amazing. Give me all of it. In a market economy, when a rich person finds something they think is unique, is more than likely the price will increase. No shit. Demand. Oh no. What is this? Honey. I mean, she's not small-chested, but she's nowhere near the size of our vampire.
She is and she doesn't have the charisma.
She's not even 7 foot tall. I mean, come on, you can't compare.
Just because she has an ugly dress, like, come on.
Yeah. I don't know what this means.
It's a sexual implication.
Is it sexual? I was laughing. I'm not sure why I'm laughing. I'm like, what is the point here? It's the joke. Consume
That was making comments.
The poutine bowl.
It was just a lump of stuff. Like, imagine this just getting cold and hardening out.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Example of underwater trash food. Oh boy, 3 a.m. Burger time. He's sleeping with it. What the hell?
Oh, never changed. Never changed.
Holy shit. The lobster is... What the...
Well, it's poor people. And the lobster is looking to the rich people.
Oh. All right.
And cheating on the poor people.
Hey,
the
look,
rich people.
Free poutine. Wait.
What?
Here's your animal meat. Why'd you say animal meat? All meat comes from animals. Ha ha, yeah.
Yeah.
Animal plant. Oh my god. Oh god, plant meat, Impossible Whopper, frame grilled to perfect. Yeah, you know what? I haven't tried the non-meat protein or non-meat burgers yet, so I don't know what they're like.
There's different meals. I don't like when. So there are good vegan dishes, but it's not what the hipsters make. And I would rather they call the dishes they make something completely different than this is imitation this is imitation that. No, it's not. You're using different ingredients. It tastes completely different.
This is
fuck off.
I don't know what game this is, but doesn't look very safe. Here we go. Why are you white trash?
That's great.
Food analogy. Oh no, this is going to kill me. Let's see what happens.
All I'm saying is I've never seen a valid argument explaining why we can't just print more money.
If monkey have one banana, banana rare, banana valuable. If monkey make more banana, banana not rare, banana not valuable.
Holy shit, who is this dumb bitch? That is the... Is she making a joke, or is she just naturally that stupid? Oh, God. Anyway. Oh, these comments like that just drive me up the wall. Lady, there's nothing wrong in eating the foods you described. Yeah, go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No one cares. Who eats trashy food? People that don't know how to cook. No, it's because we hate the poor and marginalize them.
Yeah. This is a very good description of today's Smudcast.
Yeah.
Like, what? What are you talking about?
You thought I was a fancy lady, but it was I. White trash.
This is the best so far.
If only he had a glass of wine. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
Kill boars. Oh. Holy shit. Is that a thing? Yeah, I guess so. Todd and the Sweet Little Lies. Don't play it copyright, but wanted to remind everyone. I know. I know. Could you not have a new problem for 5 minutes?
For 5 minutes!
Delete this. Cyberpunk. Oh no. Cyberpunk 2077 2020. Battlefield
now
Hardline.
that looks like trash food.
Yeah, that does look pretty bad. Plus, there's a keyboard next to your burger. That's kind of weird. What's going on there?
Battlefield Burger looks fine.
Video game reviewer explains why Fallout 76 is great. What the? I'll raise you one burger shot. Is that from Yeah, it's Grand Theft Auto.
Yes, Andreas.
Sure, you keep eating burgers, you get fat or something?
Yes.
Eric, I can't. There it is. Is that an animated GIF? I can't even see what the hell that is.
It's a bit low frame rate.
It's not even loading for me, unfortunately.
There's some action scene with Fallout 76 over something.
Fallout NPCs when you interact with them. Blah. Yeah, they zoom in you. According to the mac and cheese box, I'm a family of 4. Really? That serves 4? Holy crap. Last stand in the Boer War, Texas, 1879.
No, it's just from Zulu.
Lady, you can still make Appalachian food. The recipe's still a thing. Yeah, I want to see some squirrel recipes. Really, I have.
No one's taking away a squirrel.
Yeah. Food is prejudice. No, it's not. What are you in grade school? Yeah. See, this reminds me of. I can't remember the childhood story of girls in grade school making fun of another girl because she was Italian, and Italians have like stinky meat in their cold cuts, and they like whoever is eating stinky meat, and that sort of ridicule because they were white American or whatever, and they just had peanut butter and jelly or God knows what. So obviously, if you're a little girl and you're in grade school and you're alone and someone's making fun of you, you're not going to take that very well. So people in grade school, or kids in grade school, would make fun of other kids because they didn't understand the smells and the flavors of other kids. Now, the boys, however, were like, what's that? I've got this. You want to trade that for that? That happened a lot with the guys because they want to know even other Italians, because there's all kinds of cold cuts kids never heard of, like sopressata and kielbasa and things that no one else knew of. So they wanted to try those things, whereas the girls were a little bit more mean. Anyway. Oh, smashing. Jeeves, you must get some more of that fried squirrel. Yeah, I want to know. What does fried squirrel taste like? Google search on white trash, New York Times bestseller, The 400-Year Untold History of Class in America by Nancy Eisenberg, co-author of The Problem of Democracy. Yay. Google search on black trash, an actual recyclable container.
Just a trash can.
Is that a trash can? Because black? Okay.
It's just a trash can.
Because that's the shape of our recycling boxes in
The
Toronto.
recycling boxes are trash cans.
Yeah. They're green, though.
Green trash.
And we have to, we are, by law, have to own them. Because they're the right shape.
Oh, I thought that was a German invention.
Well, the world has adopted it. Or at least Toronto has. So,
I'm sorry.
yeah. I'm finally apologizing for your country. I finally found it after 15 years. The scroll of recipes. 32 cups of potato powder. 46 pounds of animal meat, 8 cups of salt, 20 liters of barbecue sauce, 1 microwave poutine, 1 Lay's original chips. Oh my god.
Lay's original.
What is this? Pizza, the Devil Hunter's specialty. Yes. Devil May Cry 3. Every problem in the world are caused by eggplants? What the? See, I don't know Neptunius.
No.
Net doesn't like eggplants.
Yeah, I don't know Neptunius. I don't know why that. That's funny. You privileged guys. I'm not sure what she's privileged. She's just a weird YouTuber. I'm not sure why yeah. It was the whole sausage mouth thing. I'm like, what the hell am I looking at? Why is this funny? Because I was thinking, is she hungry? Does she want the sausage? Like, I don't know. Greek eggplant pudding.
She wants the sausage. It's just like kind of like a yandere situation.
Amazing. This is amazing. I love this one, Alex Halo.
Greek eggplant pudding, and then Neptunia is just absolutely bongo.
Yeah, because she loves pudding, but she hates eggplants. Oh no!
Why?
What is? How?
The one thing I love with the one thing I hate. Why do I laugh? Why? Oh no, there's more.
Oh god.
My desires are unconventional, so show me. And it's
Oh, this is 50 Shades of Grey.
It's just pudding.
Oh, where it's taken from?
She just turned it upside down, I guess. Is that unconventional? I don't. Maybe that's how it's served.
No. This is a reference to a sexual scene about I have fetishes,
Okay.
and then it's just pudding.
Yeah. I mean, I love pudding. I mean, who doesn't love pudding? It's fantastic. It's basically a harder version of cream with more sugar and another flavor. Pudding's great. Eric, well, the fridge broke, so I had to eat everything.
Yeah, Joey, that is completely correct because we can't waste the food. We have to eat the food.
I think Joey is the guy who never shares food as well, so if it's on his plate, you can't touch it.
Yeah, well, this is the kind of thing when you
It should be.
Yeah, I mean, when you grow up, that you're taught that you don't waste food and you don't barf it up again, no matter how horrible it is, because it's food.
All right. Well,
You can't let it go bad. You have to eat it.
Well, guys, that was a very different, and I'm glad we did it because it's not too often we get to talk about food and crazy people, which is always a good combination because we are less crazy people, at least about food. We're a bit more crazy because we know what the hell we're talking about. And we've been around shopping and in the kitchen, and we're not crazy to call people weird for liking different foods. There's a myriad of cultures out there I've never experienced, and I'm sure their foods are alien to me. But this is why we watch travel shows and Anthony Bourdain and a bunch of other people who go across Europe and Africa, and we learn that way because we can't get out as much as we like, especially these days. But that's slowly changing for the better as we're allowed to travel again and go to places we've never been to. So, thank you, Alex Halo, for all those wonderful references that no one else understood. Thank you for Wisp for popping in and keeping awake. That was great of you. And Mark, good little stories there. Always appreciative. So keep the suggestions coming. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And get ready for Friday, because it's coming slowly. It's getting there.
Oh God. Oh God.
When the fish hits the pan.
When the fish arrives, the meal will be served. And all the comments we made about being privileged, I mean, that just ship it off to Friday.
Is she more a canned tuna or more of a Bismarck herring?
She's more like a whale.
She's more like a contaminated fish that nobody wants, but like gets put to the shore.
The whale is still alive. The porpoise is still breathing, and it's just sitting on the shore, and no one knows what to do.
That's not breathing. That's it. It's slowly. What's the word? It's slowly dying on the inside, and the gases will eventually make it explode. That's not breathing.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, just stuff it with dynamite and blow it up. It's gonna go well.
All right, folks. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Have a great night. Bye-bye.